am looking for wonderful advice as a way that I can help out my husband. He worked in pharmaceutical chemistry with a bachelor's and a PhD, worked for 15 years, got laid off in 2011, and he's never gotten a job since.
All right. He's got a PhD. Now, he's been unemployed for 13 years. I don't know if something psychologically happened, emotionally, whatnot, but, there comes a point, and again, without knowing about his mental health, all right, there comes a point where if something keeps reoccurring over and over and over again, they say that the problem might be you. It might not be other people. Now, it may be too early to determine, but we definitely have an issue here. 13 years unemployed.
It's been really challenging.
Whoa.
I think that's beyond challenging. I think that's almost to the point of you might question if this is the right marriage. I'm not saying jump to divorce, family. What I am saying is 13 years unemployed, there's something deeper going on.
He was laid off. Yeah, big time. His layoff coincided with Obamacare being launched and a push to get all sorts of pharmaceuticals down to generic price. So it made research really hard to be profitable in the U.S. And, of course, the financial crisis had started in 2008. So there were thousands of chemists of his caliber looking for jobs.
And I'm willing to bet that those thousands of chemists of his caliber that are looking for jobs probably have jobs 13 years later. And perhaps they even had to shift a little bit in the industry that they're looking for. I don't want to jump and say she may have just married basically a career student. You could be a career student and a job bum. You really like being in school and you like the challenge of that, but once it comes to work, you're not so keen about that. Just a thought.
He looked all over the United States. We were willing to move. We had followed his career previously, and I had been a stay-at-home parent. But when he was 2 years out of having a job, I went back in and I got a full-time job and rebuilt my career, which has been really helpful, but it hasn't replaced his earnings because my bachelor's degree earnings do not equal PhD earnings in chemistry.
Apparently.
Now, this is the thing. My family has a history of PhDs behind them. I have a double master's, although I think I could probably count it as one because one of them was from the University of Phoenix, okay, which is slightly on the defunct. But the other master's is from the University of South Florida. So that was my education degree. Just because someone has a PhD does not make the job search any easier. In fact, it can actually make the job search more difficult simply because of PhD is still to this day relatively exclusive, but I think a lot of people mistaken what a PhD is also for. Okay, it is a research degree, and I don't want to get too far off on what a PhD is, but my dad, my stepmom have PhDs. It's a research degree. So if he basically got laid off and he says that's it, it sounds to me like he's kind of the type of guy, perhaps I could be wrong, he could be the type that says, if it's not the exact type of job I want, I'm not doing it. Because I'm sorry, short of extreme psychological health issues that I would have hoped would have shown themselves 13 years later, short of that, she just got a lazy bum of a husband. Because there are people who have families to feed and they would be doing Uber and delivering pizzas if they had to. So if he's not willing to take on any job and he sees himself as, I have a PhD, therefore I am above everybody and I will take nothing less, I can bet you that a lot of those coworkers that he had the job with, all right, the PhD job, I'm willing to bet that most of them were willing to tweak their career, perhaps have to take a step down, perhaps have to take a pay cut. I'd like to kind of know what is his personality like, because there are people who believe that if they're not getting, exactly what they want, they're not going to take the job. This is not husband material.
Like they do.
Yeah, they do. They far exceed it.
Well, I guess in that case, yep, you're right.
She's got a bum of a husband, family. That's what she's got. She has a bum of a husband. You know, I've said on this channel before, and I it bears repeating, you really don't know the type of person you're married to till things hit the fan, right? Things hit the fan, using the nice word, and you really see, do they step up? Well, things hit the fan, and she's had 13 years to see what he will do when things hit the fan. Now me, I'm the type, when things hit the fan, I'm all there. I don't care if I have to work a job and a half. I don't care if I have to, go scrape gum off of tables. As you know, I do a part-time childcare job, a few bucks an hour, not much. Okay. I do what I need to do.
What I want to do is figure out how I can help him out. I've helped him to seek counseling when he was really down and having depression after being laid off. Helped him seek medical help. We've even moved halfway across the country from the East Coast back to the Midwest so we can be closer to family and have a lower cost of living. But I don't think that he is actively seeking different ways to look for jobs. We have enlisted a resume service way back 10 years ago, and he signed up for some online job seminars, and that was right at the beginning of 2020.
Hey, Susan.
This is ridiculous. I helped him out in 1950 with his resume, and then in 1960, I mean, come on. Really? He's not interested in looking for work. He's adapted his mind and his body to laying on the couch, hence the thumbnail that I used of a dude lying on a couch, okay? He's adapted his mind and his body, let her do all the work. And why should he have to do anything now? He's got a woman to do it. He got a little woman to do all that work. 13 years later, I would have divorced. I would have divorced long before that time. Not because he got laid off and was delivering pizzas, but he got laid off and he refused to do anything, which tells me this is not the type of guy who's willing to compromise. He's not going to compromise in what he does, in his career. He's got no room for flexibility, and he's happy to let someone else do it. Susan in Kansas City, Missouri. Sweetie, you've just figured out 13 years ago, and hopefully you have validation now, this is the type of guy you're married to. Okay? This is who your husband is. You need to decide if this tubblard is worth hauling around. Nah. And again, it is not because he got laid off. It is not because he would have to take a job cut. None of that matters. Not one bit of that matters. It's that he's shown when things get tough, he won't do what it takes to step up to the plate. And by the way, it has nothing to do with, he's a man and he's supposed to be able to do that. No. When times are tight, when things are rough, everybody steps in. It doesn't matter who. Everybody steps in. Of the adult age, of course. I think she's known for a long time that this marriage was done. I think she's calling in for validation. 13 years. Okay, everybody step back. Step back. Where were you 13 years ago? Let me think here. Remember, this call was just 6 days ago, all right? So this call was on October 8th. 13 years ago, 53, 40. Oh, Chimney, 44, 54. Right. I was 44 years old 13 years ago. I was 44. I had only been in my 40s for 4 years. I had 2 good knees 13 years ago. 13 years ago, I was married. What? Think about where you were 13 years ago. Now, you want to be a nagging a spouse to get to work, to get his butt up off the couch, to stop riding on his, I got a PhD. I'm not saying that all people with PhDs ride on that. Don't mistake in that, okay? But what I am saying is he clearly believes that he is too good for anything. I hope that this is just her calling in to validate that she should dump his bummy ass. Now, here's the sad part, okay? He's been unemployed for 13 years. Now, I don't know if they have kids or not. All right, I'm going to assume they probably do, but kids or not, If she divorces him, she could wind up having to pay him alimony. Yes, why? Because he don't have a job. Just something to think about. Now we kind of know what the guys go through, right? Guys go through it all the time. And I am not talking about the stay-at-home wife, when they divorce and, she's been busting her behind, taking care of kids at home and doing all that stuff. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this guy lying on a couch and doing squat for 13 years to go and so much as deliver pizzas. That's what I'm talking about, okay? So she could wind up having to pay her bum husband alimony. I hope I made myself clear on that.
All about
Hey,
networking.
Susan, I just want to interrupt you. This has nothing to do with the mechanics of finding a job.
Okay.
He doesn't want to work.
And I think I need to insert a little applause in here for myself.
It's really hard. I do
I know.
accept that concept.
I know, but
She's had 13 years to accept it. She's had 13 years to accept he don't want to work. Remember what she said, in the early 1900s, I helped him with his resume. Then in 1910, he went for an interview. Okay, it's a little hyperbolic, but you get my point. I mean, come on, family. I was 44 when this dude was out of a job. His PhD degree, by the way, ain't no good today because he's not used it. So he might as well just throw it in the trash. He hasn't been active with it. And if you're going to have a PhD, you best hold current licensing. You need to be up to date on the technology, science. He said he was a chemist or something like that, okay? You got to be up to date. That PhD is less valuable 13 years later than the kid coming out of community college with an associate's degree.
I hear from him that he does, but I don't see him taking the steps.
But behavior
to
is
get
a
into other
language.
areas.
Behavior is a language. What's he
Yeah.
been telling you for a decade?
He's probably been telling her, I'm scared.
Well, and even
His
with that
behavior
school
for a
got
decade
master's.
is, I don't work.
I don't work.
That's the answer to
Yeah.
John's question.
And his behavior for a decade is, I know that you're scared, and I know you're exhausted, I know you're freaked out about bills. You go do something about it. I'm not going to. And here's why I don't have a lot of compassion. I know too many people of my personal friends who have PhDs who got laid off, and they are at the grocery store or they're at Walmart throwing boxes in the interim.
When times get tough, you do what you gotta do. I don't care if you have a PhD, bachelor's, master's, and you're, working hard at Wendy's. I've done it all. All right? I have peeled gum. I have babysat. I have cleaned the floors, toilets on my hands and knees. And I'm not talking in my 20s. I'm talking in my 40s when I was getting divorced, to try to bring in a little extra money. I've done it. I will continue to do it if it is necessary. Fortunately, I'm not in a position now where I have to do a little extra job. I do it because I want to. More so because it supports my YouTube habit. But I know that I would never, ever, in any way, I would never look down on someone who had to do what, who has to do what they have to do to make ends meet. I've done it. And I certainly wouldn't want someone looking down at me. And I was getting divorced. I was a school teacher. Okay, I'm in my 19th year of teaching middle school. So 9 years ago when I got divorced, almost 10 years ago when I got divorced, I was cleaning, I had a neighbor, and she had an apartment. She was right above me. And I cleaned her place, bathroom, toilet, scrubbed floors, and all of that. Did it for something like $20 an hour. It's about 4 hours worth of work. It needed a lot of work. And I did that for her about 4 or 5 times. You do what you gotta do. And your true friends, and hopefully, those are the people you work with and stuff, all right? You're the people who truly respect you, professionally, personally, whatever. We're never going to make fun of you. I may be divorced, but even if I saw my ex-husband and he was waiting tables, I would not laugh. It just doesn't matter. You do what you gotta do. And anyone who respects hard work, labor, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you could be my ex, you could be waiting tables because you need to make ends meet. It's like, okay, that's what you gotta do. You could be a friend, an ex-friend. It just doesn't matter. People understand. People with compassion understand these things. And I think what happens, and again, this is not just people with PhDs. Let's get this very clear. But we have some entitled people out there of all socioeconomics. All right? All socioeconomics. Okay, even those that are flat broke, they go, well, that donation's not good enough. And you're like, I'm just giving it to you. Well, I don't like that. Okay? But people understand when there's struggle going on, and you respect that, and you go, okay, well, that's what they have to do. It's not a big deal. But this husband of hers, all right, this tells me his whole ego was on his job. So I think they said he was a chemist. All right. So instead of really being about the chemistry, he was really all about the ego. And when the chemistry job laid him off, that ego bubble was burst, and that was the end of it. And this little lady, God bless his wife. Who is it again? Susan in Kansas City, Missouri. Susan doesn't realize that her working for 13 years like this, all she's done is enable him to be like this. I would not have stuck around in a marriage for 13 years to a guy that's going to do absolutely nothing. But if they do wind up divorcing, she may be prepared to have to pay alimony.
Because they have families and they have commitments that they've made. They have responsibilities.
Absolutely.
I also have friends who've been in the throes of depression and have worked like you wouldn't believe to work themselves out. And
raise your hand if that is you. You've been in the throes of depression and you've continued working because you understood that you had commitments, a job, a roof over your head, maybe you had kids, family, a pet. I don't know. That obligation could just be to yourself, right? And we keep pushing forward.
6 months, 1 year later, they're doing something.
And I've encouraged him to take any kind of an entry-level basic job.
She encouraged him in 1910. Come on, think about how old were you 13 years ago? Okay, you really want to get technical? 13 years ago, the students that I have today in middle school, they were just born. Yeah, let that sink in. The kids that I have today, they're 13, all right? They were just born. And this guy started being laid off and laying on a couch. They were just born. This marriage is over. This marriage is over.
To get back into working.
That's right.
And he's not been actively doing that. I did. That's how I got into my job. And now I've got.
Well, Susan, that's what normal people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're broke and you don't have work and you can't find work in your field, you take a job.
Right.
And then you keep trying to work your way back into your field, maybe, but you take a job.
And the problem is he's been out of work for so long that anybody that he would have connected with that was still in the field, kind of that you give me a referral, I give you a referral, we help you out. He is so out of the field that all of those people that he used to work with, they won't refer him and he can't go to them for a referral. This guy's a lazy bum. Here's the bottom line. She married a lazy bum. That's who she wound up marrying. She didn't realize it at the time because everything was going really great. But like I said, when the going gets tough, you have a real idea as to who you married.
And there's no excuses or reason that goes for 13 years unless he's mentally disabled or physically disabled. And even then, I think he could probably have been doing something.
I go to work with 2 busted knees. I have students who go to school in wheelchairs. Okay? I mean, come on, folks. And what's keeping this guy? I saw a mother and a son once riding the bus. This is when I lived in Portland. They were both blind. Mom was taking the son. I don't know where they were going. I think she took him to school, and then I think she went to work because I saw them like all the time on the bus route when I lived in Portland. People, we work through all sorts of conditions. What's this guy's excuse? This is just his character. This is just who he is.
I agree.
So this is.
I'm not sure what I can do.
I don't know that you can do anything.
Can't.
You've done a lot already. The only thing I would, so
the marriage is over. This is why they're having a tough time with the words. Come on, 13 years ago. It's not like I can say, well, he's been doing this for the last 5 years. No, he's been doing this since I was 44, since just before my students were born. I mean, come on.
my friend Henry Cloud tells a story about a guy who tried to help his son get through college, and he kept getting thrown out because he was smoking weed or whatever. And the guy get him back into another college, he'd get thrown out, get him back into another college and get thrown out. And the guy said to Henry, he goes, I got to tell you about my son's problems. And he goes, your son doesn't have any problems. His dad takes care of everything, and he smokes weed. Your son doesn't have any trouble. He goes, you're the one that's got problems. You have a son that's misbehaving, and my job is to help you help your son have some problems.
Sorry about the trigger there sometimes. Yeah, if you think about it, the smartest person in the room is the one with the PhD, because he's figured out how to get his little woman to do all the work. Now, again, I am not saying, all right, if it doesn't sound, I can't tell if they have kids or not. You know, this is not someone who has stayed at home for 13 years, from what I can tell, to raise the children and really, really, step up to the plate and be a house dad. At least that is not what I'm hearing. What it just sounds like is a guy who lost his job. And yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of an ego, burst, yada, yada. Okay, I get it. But come on, some point we all got to grow up. He got put on his big boy pants. Sounds like, he's just happy to let his wife do the work. I think she needs to divorce, and I wouldn't have made it for 13 years under this condition. I wouldn't, no.
Because your son's being taken care of by his trust fund daddy. And in a sense, yeah. Susan, I know you're a kind, sweet person. I can hear it in your voice and the way you've described this. I want somehow someone in your husband's life to help him have some problems that gets him off his butt.
Divorce them.
Yeah, we have kind of a blessing and kind of a curse where his parents, who have both passed away during this whole thing, they left him money, and they were helping support us during the earlier parts of his unemployment. So he doesn't see a need to get something, or we're going to be on the street.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem. And I'll say what John's getting to say ahead of him, because I know what he's going to say. You're losing respect for your husband.
I've already lost respect for him, and I've only heard this call for 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it's going to cost you your marriage.
What did I say? What did I say, family?
It could.
And he needs to know that. He doesn't believe that, and he doesn't know that.
Because this isn't about resumes. This is not about...
no, this is about getting up off your butt.
What mom left us or dad left us in the trust fund. It's about none of that. This is you having the courage to say, after 10 years, I do not respect the man that I share a bed with.
It makes me wonder what his relationship with his parents was like when he was... but before he was married. In other words, did his parents cater to him? Now, again, we have to remember, on these phone calls, family, we're only hearing one side, all right? But I'm pretty inclined to believe her, due to the fact that he's not lifted a finger to work for 13 years. So unless she would like to retire broke, because I guarantee you 13 years later, the trust fund has run out. I think that's what she was saying. Or at least I thought that's what she was saying, okay? 13 years later, unless she intends to retire broke or working until she's 80 years old to support this doofus, I think she needs to let the marriage go. This is just the guy that she married. It's the unfortunate luck of the draw sometimes.
Somebody's going to work.
And in her head she's going, Sarah's going, no way. You ain't hauling me to work. How is your household going to bring in $90,000 a year when one person of the household clearly doesn't wish to work? And I suspect the second person, the one that is working, doesn't want to work that hard.
I'm trying to determine if we are going to have to go on WIC, which is the Children's Government Help.
Uh-huh.
I've cut everything I can possibly cut from our budget, but our grocery bill, even though I buy only what we need, is just with inflation.
I'm going to stop her saying we've trimmed the budget as far as we can. I'm going to take a prediction, and I think this happens a lot. People will say, quote, we've trimmed the budget as far as we can. But if you give that same budget to someone else to look at, they'll go, whoa, wait a minute. You could trim it a whole lot more. So what gives on the difference is because, in my opinion, what the person holding the budget sees, they see most things as a need. I need to have this iPhone. I need to have this type of car for work, yada, yada. But give it to someone else who doesn't see those needs. We're going to look at it for wants. And we'll go, no, you don't need to have that type of iPhone, cell phone. You don't need to drive a car that expensive. That's just something that I kind of have observed, listening to a lot of these reaction calls and stuff and just learning about debt over the years. And that is, give your budget to someone else and say to them, can this be trimmed down anymore? And I'm willing to bet that most people would say, yeah, because we have conditioned ourselves oftentimes to think that our wants are needs. Okay. I have a gal pal. Okay, a casual friend, not super close, but a casual friend, and she will tell you point blank, I need to get a manicure for my job because I need to look nice for my job. And my thought is, Sally Hansen at $3.99, probably $4.99, that will be my manicurist. And if my job is not paying for me to go for a professional manicure, I'm not paying it. But in her eyes, she needs to have that manicure. I always say deeply they know they don't need it, but if you convince yourself enough that you need it, yeah, then you probably will. So when she says, we trim down our budget as far as we can, I'm willing to go, I bet you could trim it down some more.
We're just having to dip into our savings, and it's getting a little low.
Okay. Tell me more. What's in your savings? Oh, go ahead.
I was just calling to see if there's any other suggestions.
Probably. Let's dig deeper. So you said you're digging into your savings. So how much do you have in your savings?
At this point, we're down to $5,000.
Okay, so we've got $5,000 saved.
Hey, that's $5,000 more than a lot of people have.
Do you have a debt? I'm guessing yes.
We have our house and one car.
Okay, what do you owe on the one car?
Why don't people know these figures right off the bat? I would know right off the bat how much I owe to my student loan, how much I owe to my car. I don't need to look it up. I don't need to do any of that. I know.
$11,000.
Okay, $11,000 on that car. And is it your only car, or do you have two vehicles?
We have two. The other one's paid off.
Okay, great.
What's your annual income?
36 before taxes.
Okay.
Oh, well,
that's it. 36. You know what I'm famous for doing on my channel, folks. I look at how many adults are in the household, and I take that 36 and I divide it by the adults that I'm assuming could be working in the household. So 36 will be generous. We'll round it off to 40. That's 20,000 each gross between what I'm assuming are two adults. So then, of course, my question then becomes, why is the income so low?
There's our problem. Annual income 36, there's two of you. Who's working and who's not?
My husband works full-time. I stay home with our two sons.
People, look, I'm all for staying at home with the kids if your family can afford it. We've got all these people staying home, and I'm not going to say it's all these women because dads can stay at home too, okay? But I'm just going to refer to them as SAHM, stay-at-home moms, okay? But by no means can it be just a mother who stays at home, so let's make that clear, all right? But for our purposes, okay, this is what we've been hearing is these women who are staying at home, which is fine when you've got the income, past, present, and future income to support it. Too many these women are staying at home, and I'm only saying women because those are the stories we've heard about, as I said, okay? Too many of these women are staying home, and I'm sorry, they need to be bringing in some dough. $36,000, that's like, what's each person bringing in, around $16,000 each? I mean, that's just, wow. Yeah, that's about 16, 31, 32, maybe a little bit more, about 17 or so. This isn't enough to sustain a family. And so my question becomes, why isn't the second person working? Now, I know the answer a lot of people give is, well, that's because, daycare would just go to, what is it? We would just pay for daycare. But you're losing more than just the immediate benefit of having an additional job. You're also losing the earnings of Social Security over time. Okay. You're losing the ability to keep at least a toenail, a baby toe or something in the water of employment, so you don't completely dry up on your skills. I think once I read, I cannot quote, but I think I've heard that it takes about 2 years out of a market and your value drops precipitously or something like that. Okay. We've been listening to these stories of, guys, and that's the situation it's been. Okay. Guys that are, killing themselves, basically trying to run a household for three, 4, 2 kids, 2 adults. Okay. 4 people or so. They need the partner working. Even if that partner's bringing in $700, that could be half the mortgage payment. It could be half the rent payment. It could cover, 2 car payments or 1 car payment if you didn't buy a car so smart. I think, and again, I'm not a stay-at-home mom, okay, and I'm not a parent, so maybe my view is slightly off the lens that I'm looking at it, but yet I know enough people who work that are 2-parent households. And I just imagine if one of them just said, nope, I'm not bringing in, I'm not going to work anymore. And again, I think that's fine when you have a household income and a savings account and all of that can justify it. But when people are talking, I make 30,000, I make 40,000. Okay. Or the story that we did yesterday, I bought a $72,000 electric vehicle 6 Kia and I make 90,000, but my car payment's $1,200. If you did not hear yesterday's bedtime chit-chat, you really should play it. It's unbelievable. $72,000 electric vehicle bought like literally right after they got married. The husband bought it without the wife knowing, and says, "Here, honey, here's a $1,200 a month car payment for probably 7 to 8 years." You really ought to listen to yesterday's bedtime chit-chat if you haven't listened to it yet. But it's just something to think about. These incomes that we're hearing that are relatively low. I mean, if you're one person and it's just you, okay, and you got a roommate, okay, 30, 40,000 might work, but trying to support 2 kids, your spouse, yourself, and you have an able-bodied spouse. That's key. You have an able-bodied spouse who can do additional work.
Okay. How old are the 2 sons?
2 and 2 months.
Okay. So there's no daycare. You're the daycare.
Yes.
Okay. 2 and 2 months. Okay. And are you doing anything to bring in additional? I mean, obviously you're contributing big time to the household. Are you doing anything financially?
We've looked at some options, but I am not a born salesperson.
Sure.
Okay, here come the excuses. I hear the tea kettles starting to bubble. Here come the excuses. I'm not a born salesperson, and I'm willing to bet you, it says here, what's the title? I don't think you want to find a solution. And where you do not want to find a solution, you will not find one. So we're already immediately starting with excuses.
So selling from my house is not really a good option.
Okay. So sales us out. No sales job. All right. Let's see what else is coming.
About like customer service. Something you could do in the evening on the phone.
I've kind of looked at it briefly, but I haven't really delved into it too much.
Okay. So she hasn't shown any interest in that. I sure as heck hope this is not a repeat of what we had the other night. Entertaining as it was about the lady. It's the couple who bought the they bought the RV. The couple who bought the RV, and she had every excuse as to why they had to have the RV and a $58,000 truck to pull the RV, though the truck to pull the RV was more expensive than the RV itself. And she had every excuse. It got so bad. Okay. I said they should hang up on her. Why do I think this might be part 2?
never done anything like that with my, I've never done that. So
Okay, so customer service is out. So sales is out, customer service is out. Let's keep going here.
And just to get cleared, I'm asking lots of questions because I want to see the situation. Your husband, does he work like crazy hours, or is he kind of like 9 to 5?
If he's only making $36K, he's not working crazy hours. Sorry. $36K crazy hours, I'm going to say no.
at the moment, he works from 7 to 3:30.
Oh, okay. Maybe I laughed too soon.
Okay.
And then we're also a military family, so he's gone with that as well.
Okay, and how often is he gone?
At least once a month.
7 to 3:30 he's gone once a month. Couple days is like reserves or something.
For how long?
A weekend.
Okay.
If he has to do more training, then it could be up to a month.
Do you know how much free time I see between the two of them? Are you guys seeing this? Are we seeing the free time between the two of them? He works from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Dang. He only works 8 hours. And then a weekend. He's like in reserves, I guess it is. 8. Why is he only working from 7 to 3:30? If you're going to have the lap of luxury where a parent gets to stay home, the person who's got to go to work has probably got to earn at least twice what he's earning now, minimum. I mean, minimum. And that's living on a tight budget. Wow.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a picture of the situation. My first thought is like, okay, you guys' income is super low.
So what, I'm sorry, Jade, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So what does he do then from 3:30 until 7 o'clock the next morning? And he only has to do the reserve thing. I think it's called reserves. I apologize if I got my military terminology is not good. Okay. But then on the weekend that he does the reserve thing, I get that. But then what does he do the other weekends? This is like a couple. This is what they're striking me as a couple that wants they want a champagne lifestyle on a beer budget.
And when I see a super low income, my first thought is, how can we get it higher? So is he capped off in any way? I mean, he's in the military. Is he able to go out and do more work? I see a place for you to do more work.
Oh, Jade, that was good. I see a place for you to do more work. God, I love this woman.
Based off the schedule and kind of what you laid out. But I'm also wondering about your husband.
Right now, he's trying to get a promotion to a different position within the company he works for. If he does that, then we'll be set.
You'll be set? Going from 36 to what? This promotion would have to be pretty significant to be set. Because it sounds to me that this would be the type of couple to also have lifestyle creep come in. How many people have said, oh, if I just made $10,000 more a year, I'd be set. And then lifestyle creep, where you spend a little more, you get a little more, you spend a little more. Oh, if I just made another $10,000, I would be set. I don't buy for a minute that his promotion would make them set.
If he doesn't get it, then we just can't sustain this.
What does set mean?
I'm just trying to figure out. He would go from 36 to about 90.
90. Okay, yeah, that's a nice
quite the
jump.
promotion.
That's quite the promotion. And having only one parent work, as you know, we divide this is how I do it. Divide the income in half. It's a school teacher salary home. 2 school teachers making about $45,000 each. And again, I don't buy that they would be set. See, it changes when you look at it like that. Again, 90,000. Yeah, 90,000 is great if you're a bachelor or bachelorette. 90,000 when you've got a wife, 2 kids, yourself, and you don't appear to use your time wisely in making money. She's got buttloads of free time. She could be doing something else. Yeah, even with the kids. There is so much opportunity to work out of the home now. There is so much opportunity. And if her idea is, well, we're totally relying, this just ran 7 hours ago, okay? So if her idea is, well, our entire future is based on whether or not he gets this promotion, does that mean it's going to be his fault if the promotion doesn't come through? Does that mean he's at fault? If the promotion doesn't work, who's she going to blame? 2 school teachers that make $45,000 a year, very realistic in today's economy. Very, very realistic. Okay? $90,000. Now does it sound set to you? Not quite as set.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a different job entirely, but it's within the same department. But we won't really know anything if he's going to get that job until either March or April.
And what's going to happen if he doesn't get it? What's going to happen? Are they going to sit and cry and blame him? I mean, I was always raised with plan for the worst case scenario. You better have a plan B. If her idea is we're going to collect WIC food stamps and then see if this job promotion comes through. If this job promotion doesn't come through, what are they going to do? What happens if it comes through and it doesn't work out? That can happen too. You can get a promotion and, they decide it doesn't work. These are the realities. So what I see her doing is, instead of her going, how can we secure a financial future on both of our talents? What can I do with the abilities that I have? What I hear her saying is, what can my husband do to make sure that our family is set? But don't ask me what I can do, because I haven't done this and I can't do that and I'm not very good at this. This is where I see the problem.
Is that you guys are kind of waiting.
Yes.
What I feel is that
we're kind of waiting. We're trying to figure out what to do, but I'm also trying to figure out how to not have no money.
Right, but
and get to a point if he does.
It's called get a job. Find a way to work online. Perhaps you could teach English. That there are online jobs, legitimate ones. Online jobs, teaching English as a second language to people overseas. Go work for Corinthian. Or is it Corinthian or Huntington? I think it's Huntington. Oh yeah, Corinthian's that defunct college that's scammed people off of student loans. No, we don't want that. But like Huntington Learning Center, there are so many opportunities. She strikes me as someone who is looking to someone else to solve the problem, but don't ask her because she's a mommy now and that's her excuse. You know how many mommies I know work? Yes, they work.
Doesn't get the job, I don't want to be just completely strapped.
Right. So what are you, Sarah, going to do to keep from being completely strapped other than sit and complain about it?
I see, based on what you laid out, a house that's on fire. Like the flames they're kissing the roof. Like it's on there. But when I asked about the urgency of earning income, I didn't sense the urgency. It's kind of like, oh, I looked in something, but I'm not a salesperson. And he has this, but that. And in a situation like this, if I'm being truly honest, Sarah, like you guys don't have the ability to sit on your hands whatsoever. Like when you're in this situation, it's like any job's a good job. Any job's a good job until I get the job, right? And I think that's what you're going to have to embrace is you're in a situation where you're not earning enough to, when I say I mean you and your husband collectively are not earning enough to support your family. Thank goodness you've got this $5,000 there. But like you said, to your point, you're going to keep burning through that if we don't today decide I'm going to get a job.
Here's the thing. Here's why I don't think, and I don't, of course, I know as much as you know, audience, okay? Here's why I don't think he'll get the $90,000 job promotion. He can apply for it. But here's what, just going on in my brain. There's a big jump from 35, respectively, to 90. That's not just a money jump. It's a job skills jump. Job skills. You're passing the 40s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s to say that you have the skill to be hired at $90,000 a year. assuming, and we're not talking self-employed. Yes, I understand those people are self-employed. Well, I started at $25,000 a year, and I started a doggy poopy scooping business, and now I'm at $100,000. Congratulations. That is a true story on the Dave Ramsey show. Okay, some guy earning $100,000 pooper scooping, and he deserves every penny of it. If he was able to create it, build it, and do it, I have to, tip my hat to him. Okay, but when we're talking about working for other people, okay, if her husband is any inkling of what she is, he's looking to make the most amount of money for the least amount of work. Now, some people go, well, yeah, isn't that everybody? No. Not in my opinion. I can tell you as a teacher, trust me, okay? Most teachers, we work very, very hard. If we were trying to find a job where we could make the most amount of money for the least amount of work, and trust me, we would not be in education, all right? But just talking in general terms, okay? So here he is at 35, 36,000, okay, respectively. He's applied for a job at 90,000. Now, if I think of all the applicants that are going to be, that he's going to be going against, and this is military, okay? I'm thinking you've got the applicants that are already making 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. He's got applicants with, if you turn those dollars into skill sets, okay, you've got a $35,000 a year employee who at this point, so let's be honest, from what I can tell, hasn't done anything substantial. And yeah, when I was in college, I dated a guy who was in the reserves too, held almost the exact identical schedule. Reserves, once a month on the weekends. And we were college students during the weekday. Okay. This is in my 20s. Okay. So I'm a little bit familiar with it. Okay. Lots of free time in the reserves. Okay. Because like I said, it was just pretty much the weekend. I think that's kind of what he's doing. Okay. Even if I'm slightly off, forgive me. But I'm trying to figure out what skill set he has that jumps him from 35 to 90, where he would get the job above somebody who's already proven themselves at the 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 pay range. I hope that makes sense. Again, I'm not saying you can't go from 30 to 90. But if I'm an employer and I'm looking at skills, analytical skills, and all of that stuff. Adjusting my stool here. Looking at job and work experience skills. I mean, he would have to be a diamond buried somewhere that was completely undiscovered by man. And somebody one day opens his resume and goes, holy cow, this is the person that we need. Okay. Kind of like, actresses and actors who are, working at a restaurant one minute and then they get their big break in a movie. Okay. But even then they're still in an industry that they're trying to break into. I'm just thinking, this job promotion that he's going for, who are his competitors? And he's got a whole lot of people they're already at 50, 60, 70, 80. They've already proven themselves at that market value. So a $90,000 jump, another 10, 15, even 20,000 may be very appropriate for them. I'm just trying, if she married this guy and they're anything like each other, I'm going to have to say he's not a $90,000 a year employee. Because to earn $90,000 a year working for somebody else, you gotta earn it. You gotta prove it. At least that's what I would certainly expect. Okay, somebody's paying you. A company's paying you $90,000. I think, and I was a little confused. I don't know if this is with the military or not. This job promotion. I thought she said it was unrelated. Either way. I'm just thinking of the type of person, the go-getter, the self-initiative, the drive to earn $90,000, to go from 35 to 90. And I'm looking at his wife going, she doesn't have too much drive. And if in any way like attracts like, if in any way it does, it mirrors each other. He's not the most driven either. And he can't just be relying on a job because of the dollar amount that it pays. So methinks there's a little bit of Alice in Wonderland going on here where they're going, oh, well, we think we can go from 35 to 90. Again, I'm not saying it's impossible.
Like, I'm going to get a job until I get the job. And for you, that's why I'm asking. I'm like, okay, he's not working crazy. If he's home at 3:30, boy,
he's going right back.
He's going back right
Kiss
back.
Crap. Middle school teachers, we work longer than that. Elementary school teachers, middle school, high school, elementary. This guy is done just a couple hours, his day just a couple hours after I'm done having my lunch.
Kids and go back out.
Or you're going out, somebody's going to work.
And in her head she's going, Sarah's going, no way. You ain't hauling me to work. See, how is your household going to bring in $90,000 a year when one person of the household clearly doesn't wish to work? And I suspect the second person, the one that is working, doesn't want to work that hard. I could even buy him perhaps landing a $90,000 job if he's like, if she said, you know what, she's working on some online money making thing, and my husband's out, he works 15-hour days, he does this from 7 to 3, and then he's out again from 5 to 11 p.m. yada yada. Then I could go, okay, this family's really driven. Does this couple strike you as driven? Does he even strike you as driven? And I'm going to say no, because anybody who can start and work from 7 to 3 is not a $90,000 a year employee. That $90,000 a year employee is going to have to step up to the plate, at least under most circumstances.
He's coming back home, and then he's doing military stuff.
That's unpaid?
Okay, then you're going to work.
No.
When the kids go to sleep.
Is he getting paid overtime?
No.
So he's making 36 grand working over 40 hours a week?
When he gets home, he's doing military stuff, and that...
She's not clear on this military stuff. Again, I dated a guy in college who was in the reserves. All right. What's this military stuff? I believe this is the relative to the woman that we did just the other day and her husband who bought the RV. Okay. They bought an RV for $45,000, bought a $58,000 truck to pull that sucker. These people are related. And what's the common denominator in both of these calls? And that is neither one of the parties really wants to work. So they come up with excuses as to why they can't work.
Listen, something about this has to shake loose. Something about this has to shake loose.
What's left on this car loan?
11.
I think this car can go. Do you guys need 2 cars right now?
She's going to say, yes, we do.
Yes, because when he...
people, sometimes I think we could almost end the call in the first 3 minutes because we already know where it's going. Remember the title. I don't think you want to find a solution.
He's gone, I would be without transportation.
And that happens to people all the time. Walmart will deliver your stuff. I get, with my arthritic knees and stuff, I don't like to carry stuff, okay? Unless, of course, it's in a gym. But in general, that's under a very controlled environment and all of that. And it also falls under my physical therapy. But I don't like to carry things, because I do have my mobility issues. So what do? Car, no car? I'm a member of Walmart. $99 a year. It might have gone up to $100, $110. They bring everything I need to me. I'm a member of Amazon. They bring everything I need to me. That $250 a year respectively that I pay for Walmart and Amazon, that's people go, oh, well, that's so expensive. I need a car. Oh, yeah. Well, what's a car payment? They bring everything to me to my door. You want to eat something from a certain restaurant, even though I've never used Grubhub or any of those things. I never will. I will only, if I ever do delivery, it's pizza delivery. Do you know how many pizzas I've had delivered to my door in the last 10 years since I've been divorced? How many pizza deliveries I've had to my door? A total of 1. That's it. It was 1 pizza delivery. It was shortly after I moved into this condo and I was exhausted, but I wanted my pizza. 1 pizza delivery in 10 years. That's how much food, prepared food, I've had delivered to my door. I don't pay for that stuff. But if you think about it, She'll say, oh, yeah, we need to have 2 cars. No, you don't. Tons and tons of people live with 1 car. Tons of people live with 1 car. You say, well, I have a medical emergency. That's when you make friends with your neighbors. That's when you call 911. Okay? I'm beginning to see where this title is coming. Actually, I saw at the beginning of this call. I don't think you want to find a solution. People who don't want to find solutions will find every way to counter what you say, just like the lady with the RV. I will link that at the end. It's well worth watching.
To like a doctor's appointment, grocery store, can you go out once he's home?
No.
Well, like when he's gone, because
can we sell it and downgrade to a 5,000 car?
Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm getting frustrated. Here's where we're at. Whatever you look for, you'll find. All right, Sarah. And right now, I don't think you want to find the solution.
Bingo. Bingo, bingo, bango. Yeah, she's not looking for a solution. Here's what she wants. She's hoping that her husband will land this $90,000 a year job because he'll go from 36 to 90, and that will solve their problems. The problem, what she does not see is somebody like this, a marriage like this, a couple like this, a spouse who has a mindset like this. It's not going to matter what they bring home. It's never going to be enough. 90,000 will be fine for a while. They'll be like, oh, great, we've got it made. And then it's going to be, oh, but now we need this. And now this is the perfect couple for lifestyle creep. And I'm going to say couple, not just her, because he clearly has somewhat of a lazy streak in him. I'm sorry, but he does. Grown man, you got a wife and 2 kids at home, and you apparently agreed that your wife should not work, and you're going to work from 7 to 3. I mean, crap, Seriously. I'm like in period 7, or I'm in period 6 at school. I still got another whole period to go, and then I got a part-time job to go to after that. This guy's at home kicking up his feet. And I can't believe that he's in a high enough position that he's got all this military work he has to do at home. He makes $36,000 a year. It's not that much. Now, you put somebody in a really high level position, sure. Can I see them doing a lot of work at home? Absolutely. Yeah. Officers, things like that. People who have really high positions. This guy is short of kitchen crew. No insult to the military kitchen crew. So you're going to have a hard time convincing me that $36,000 a year, he's just got so much work to do at home. Right? So even if he makes more money, it's not going to solve their long-term problem. And their long-term problem is she, as the spouse, doesn't want to step up to the plate to do anything. So how is bringing more money going to solve the problem? Because there are going to be other financial problems down the road. How are they going to solve that? Are they now expecting him to go and earn even more? I mean, let's face it. How many people make over $100,000 a year? Not very many. They have less. Okay, here's the thing. On the front end, they have a money shortage problem. Clearly, $36,000 is not enough. But further down the road, they have another problem. And that issue is they don't want to work. Or at least she sure as heck doesn't want to work. And like I said, I'm going to kind of toss him under the bus with her. Because any man who really wants to work, no, you're not done working from 7 to 3. It's just not going to happen. Especially if you agree that one person's going to stay at home. Sarah, sees this as just an immediate money problem. But someone like me and someone like you, we see it as, the money's just the surface. But the deeper problem is you have a spouse or 2 people that really don't want to work that hard. And that's the more serious problem. Because that's the foundation of what's going to keep the finances stable. It's just a thought.
I think you want to go on WIC, and I think you want that to be the solution. And it doesn't matter what George or I says.
Or what I say.
For you, what we're hearing back right now is, no, that won't work. And I can't do that because of this. And nope, can't do that. Listen, then stay in debt.
That's right. Go on the WIC program, buy that extra truck. You need it. Buy the SUV. You need it. Yes. Get into that bigger house. You need it. Yes. Go ahead and marry the person that doesn't know how to spend money appropriately. You need that too.
We're never going to say that to you. We're never going to say your situation is hopeless. We're never going to
but sometimes I think they probably should.
tell you there's nothing that you can do and, well, just depend on the government. You're never, ever going to get that answer from us. So don't be surprised when what we tell you to do sounds a lot like work. It's going to sound a lot like you getting out of your comfort.
No. It doesn't sound like work. It is work. You want to get out of debt. It is work. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what I could have done. My listeners know I have 2 very arthritic knees. Okay. Do you know how easy it would probably be for me, because I have severe enough knees, if I really, really, really wanted to push it? I could probably push for partial disability at this point. I mean, I could move. I have mobility. I can get around. But those of us who have arthritis know when it's really bad, okay? I mean, it feels like little steak knives in my knees oftentimes, and it immobilizes me a lot. Okay, I don't want to get into real details of it, but people who have we're talking extreme knee arthritis, you know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? And every second hurts, all right? It's not, my knees are not, does it hurt? The question is, how much does it hurt? Okay? And when I'm in a gym, it feels great because all my, knee is moving, you know, it's got blood flow, it's got heat. That's why arthritic people can move in a gym, and when we get out of the gym, it all locks up. Okay. How easy it would be for me to whine, moan, groan, and I have the medical records to prove it. If I really, really, really wanted to push for partial disability, I could probably get it. Okay. If I really, really wanted to complain and go, man, you know, I just can't do, I can't do another job. You know, I can't do any sort of second job because I'm in pain so much. I'm in pain sitting here, okay? But what I've learned is, you know what? I look at the bigger picture. And because I want to create a good life for myself, I would like to be able to, excuse me, I just hiccuped. I would like to be able to create a good life, you know? Should I remarry again, I want to provide that man something other than, hey, you're married a woman with arthritis, okay? I want to be able to contribute. I can't contribute to someone else's life if I can't even contribute to my own. Because I've had people ask me, why don't you try to get partial disability, yada, yada, whether I could or could not. That to me is not relevant. What's relevant is, what am I doing for myself to secure myself? And then if you want to have a partner and stuff, what are you doing to show them that you can step up to the plate? I am surprised at how many how many phone calls we've listened where people, they really don't want to work. They just really want to call in and complain about the debt, but they don't really want to get out of debt, because to get out of debt requires work. I'm willing to work for it, and I'm willing to keep working for it, and I will continue working for it. This lady doesn't want to work. And she's married to someone who I don't think wants to work. This is why I don't think he's going to get the $90,000 a year job. His resume's not going to reflect it. But I guarantee you somebody else's resume will. I think also what I see, and I see it in this caller especially, she's setting her husband up to be the fall guy. I never want a spouse that sets me up to be the fall guy for the financial failure. I don't. I never want a spouse. I would never set my spouse up to be the fall guy. How do you keep your spouse from being set up to be the fall guy? Help them. Help them. Then if the plan doesn't work, you can't blame each other. Instead, you look and you go, okay, what could we each have done better? What I see in this situation is she's waiting for him. You know, she's waiting for this $36,000 a year, unmotivated, works from 7 to 3, and then does all this military work at home, which I don't buy. I just don't. Okay. not the rank he's probably at, okay? And then that way, if it doesn't work, it's his fault because she was helpless to do anything to solve the problem. She couldn't get a sales job. She's never done that before. She couldn't go into customer service. She's never done that before either. Amazing, isn't it? She can blame somebody else for the failure. Now, I was at Marshall's the other day looking at lipstick, and I don't shop department stores. Very, very rarely. I shop Marshall's, TJ Maxx. Okay. I stay out of Ross because I just can't handle Ross. It's just too much in the sense of too much stuff. So I don't like Ross, but I love Marshall's and TJ Maxx. And, you know, I was walking down one of the aisles and there was a gal working and she was sitting. I guess they had kind of like a little chair that was low to the ground and she could scoot around on the ground. It's to help them be able to not have to bend over and hurt their back to arrange merchandise on the bottom shelf in the cosmetics section. This is at Marshall's. And I'd made the comment to her. I said, "Oh, how cute." I said, they give you guys a little chair to roll around. And she's like, "Yeah, that is." Now then, the reason I'm telling you that is this. I thought to myself, hey, Carrie, if I ever could not do my little part-time job at school like I do, and I had to go work, say, at a Marshall's or TJ Maxx, all right, I could effectively do my job sitting in one of those little scooty chairs. Okay. And they're probably just about maybe, you know, I don't know, a couple of feet off the ground. It's not real high. It's designed for you to be able to sit comfortably and get to the bottom shelf. So figure it's just a couple feet up. But I thought, hey, I could do that even with my disability. You see, those of us who really want to find solutions, we don't let things get in the way. I interview an employer. I tell them I have bad knees. Okay, so you know, have you thought about how you're going to get around this job? Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Employer, I have. If you have one of those little low chairs that I can stock merchandise on the bottom shelf like that, absolutely no problem. I can do that for you. See, there's a solution. I work at Target, which I did years ago, like in my early 30s. I worked at Target, and I can't stand for a really long period of time. I can only stand for maybe about 20 minutes and sometimes not even that long. I need to have a brace. If I can wear my brace, it helps. And when I say stand, I'm not talking like I can't walk around a grocery store, but like if I were to do a job and I was expected to stand, for 2-3 hours, no way I could do it. Absolutely no way. Just impossible. But guess what I would tell the employer? I'd say, hey, you know what? But if you could give me a stool, then I can stand and sit and check out stuff at the register. See, people like me, and people who are motivated, not just to get out of debt, but to make goals, whatever those goals are. We find solutions over our handicaps, so to speak. We find ways that we can cross obstacles. And then we're able to share with other people how we can get through those obstacles. So we can maintain employment, stuff like that. This couple, they're not looking for a way around obstacles. They're not looking for that. They simply look at the obstacle and go, oh, gee, well, I can't go over this obstacle or around it or through it or anything else because I've never done that before. And they turn around and go back home. Somebody like me, hopefully somebody like you, will look at an obstacle and go, okay, there's an obstacle. All right, what are we going to do about it? We're going to just sit there, take it lying down? Oh, heck no. We're going to find a way around it. And we do. And it may be unconventional. It may be slightly scary because it's something we haven't tried before, but we're going to find a way around that obstacle. So I thought to myself as I saw her, and she was perfectly able-bodied. She was probably like, 17, okay? And she's scooting around this chair, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I could do that. See, there's a way for me to work at Marshall's. I could sit in a chair like that. They want me to go to the cash register. I'll just, they can accommodate and give me a stool. I'll bring a stool, whatever, and I can stand and sit as I need to and cash people out. Unfortunately, I can't really walk around and put merchandise on the shelves. That would require me to be on my feet, so I can't do that. I would not be a good fit for that. I'd be hobbling too much. But the things that we can do, we find obstacles. She's not going to find obstacles. As a matter of fact, this is the type of woman who is looking for obstacles, so she has an excuse to do nothing.
But if you'd rather be right that there's no way out, then be right.
Well, it's like that friend who likes to vent and complain to you, and I think the healthy thing to ask that friend before they start on one of their rants is go, do you want me to just listen, or do you want solutions?
Hey,
and if you just
okay.
want me to listen, you vent, that's fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
We can wait.
And friendships where all they want to do is vent and complain, bitch, moan, and groan, those friendships can get old. Because after a while, it's kind of like, look, I'm sorry, I really don't want to hear it. If you're not looking for solutions, even if you don't come to me for the solutions, even if you don't come to me, that's cool. But if all you're going to, we've all known people like this. We know people like this. All they really want is just someone to listen to them moan and groan, and that's fine. And I can be a kind and listening ear, but eventually it gets tiring, because I want people around me that are going to find solutions. Because you see, when you find a solution, you motivate me to do the same thing. We motivate each other. If the only people I hang around are people who aren't interested in finding solutions, then we're just going to sink together, and I don't wish to do that. Doesn't mean my friends all have to be motivated, okay? Especially as we get older and we start to know where we're happy in life and all that, great. But, we all know those people, they complain and moan and groan, and there's nothing right in their life, and that's all they do. And after a while, it gets old to listen to, because I want to be around people who are positive. I want to be around people who will not allow me to have excuses. You can bet Sarah here, little Miss Sarah, the phone caller, you can bet some of her friends are probably just like her. Oh, you're right, Sarah. You can't do any of that stuff. You need to go on WIC. I guarantee it to you, Sarah has friends that are just like her. Basically what he's willing to do is he's willing to martyr himself for his family. Now look, there's good family martyrism and bad family martyrism, okay? Martyring yourself because you perhaps married a woman who doesn't want to go to work. I'm just calling it out. I don't think she wants to go to work. This is why he feels all the stress. So I'm gonna, stake myself up there on the cross, and I'm just gonna kill myself in the process. $90,000 student loan plus some personal loans they're going to be working hard to pay off. We need to know how much those personal loans are. All right.
And what'd you get them in?
My wife got pursuing a degree in speech language pathology.
Okay.
So hopefully she's working in that, especially if that degree costs $90,000.
Is she doing speech pathology now?
Yeah. So she's working. So we got a kid at home. He's almost 2, and we got another one on the way. And
spit it out, buddy. Spit it out. Take a deep breath.
The way it's working now, we're working. She's working now to help pay off these 2 smaller debts, and then I'm gonna be the only one working after the new baby comes, which I'm fine with because someone's got to take care of the kids. We can't afford child care. And my question really sits on this. As a father, as the head of the household, I'm working 40-plus hours a week, Monday through Friday. I'm trying to be very available on the weekends, but I don't want to sit in this forever. I want this debt gone. I want to be free. I want our family free of this.
Okay. I'm not a parent, so clearly I don't have kids, but I am going to jump in with the thought that I know I'm not the only one who thinks this way. And it doesn't even matter if you have kids or not. Family planning is really, really important. When you have them, how many you have, the timing of it. And we have advanced enough technology now that it doesn't have to be just on the blessed day that God shall make for you, okay? You can actually plan probably better now than we've ever been able to. All right. This financial situation that they are finding themselves in, was it avoidable?
I don't want to be a bad father. I don't want to be a bad husband.
Working hard for your family does not, in my opinion, make you a bad father or a bad husband at all. But what I have to question and what I wonder is, just a thought, is she laying some guilt on him? Kind of that, this is just a thought. I could be wrong. We'll find out more as the call goes on, but she's a stay-at-home mom, right? She's going to be a stay-at-home mom. I sure hope this $90,000 degree wasn't for her to be a stay-at-home mother. And I sure hope she's not laying guilt into him in any way. Just a thought. I've heard those cases where, what is it? They have one working parent, we'll typically say it's the father, but obviously it could be the mother as well. But for the purposes of this call, okay, we're going to keep it as the dad, all right? Although dads can be stay-at-home parents too, okay? Nothing wrong with that. But the parent who's going to work, and then there's the parent who's staying at home. The parent who's staying at home, on the luxury of one parent going to work, shouldn't be giving the one parent that's going to work a bad time about doing what? Going to work.
Should I be working extra on Saturdays at a second job? I mean, just to give you some context, I'm a structural engineer, and I make north of $90K a year.
Okay, north of $90K, so let's just say he makes six figures. Sounds like a lot until you realize you've got one parent not working. So basically they're living on two teacher incomes. See, I like to look at, I like to kind of average things out. 90,000, let's just say he says he makes north of 90. So let's just say he makes six figures. Maybe he gets some bonuses, whatever, all right? Might even be more than that. But let's just say he makes 100,000. Now, if he was making 100,000 and she's working her speech pathology job, let's say for a district or whatever, and she's pulling another 50,000, now you're looking at 150, 60, maybe even 170,000. All right, not bad. When one person is making 90, 100,000, the other person's not working, split between the two of them, they have two teacher income. It's the realistic way of looking at it.
So, one, dude, thank you for your heart, man. Like, I can tell this is weighing on you heavy, and you want to be a good dad. And you want to be a good husband. And I wish everybody came to the table with your spirit.
He does. He has excellent, character and stuff in this regards. She's very lucky.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's pretty hard thinking. I mean, it's just pretty hard. And so I'm going to be as direct as I can because we don't have a ton of time. Is that cool?
That's cool.
All right. Number one, I'm always very hesitant or avoidant of either or situations. You have backed yourself into a corner and you've created a bunch of truths for your home. We cannot afford childcare. My wife will not. I am the head. So either I work 40 hours a week and I'm a crummy dad and husband, or I work a whole bunch to get the stuff paid off. And here's the truth, or if to use my language, here's you choosing reality. Together, you and your wife have created a financial reality for your home that your bodies cannot accept, cannot exist. Y'all are broke. You owe $90,000, and she has a graduate degree, and you're a structural engineer. You're two very brilliant, very successful people, and yet you can't breathe financially. True or false?
That's pretty true.
True.
Good. So this is an easy problem to solve. Mom needs to work. Mom needs to work. Mom may need to go back to work sooner than mother would like. Women do it all the time. Women in single households do it all the time. Women in married households do it all the time.
Okay. So when we make declarative statements like, I'm not going to X, Y, and Z, the math doesn't care what you declare. It's a good rhyme. I should probably write that down on a t-shirt. That sounds very George Camel. So here, if me and my wife were in a similar situation, I would reframe our language. She wants to stay home. You want her to stay.
Yes.
But you make $90,000 and she can make $65,000 to $85,000, and together in 12 months of scorched earth living, you could have most of this paid off. All of it.
Thank you very much. I didn't say that they could have most of it paid off, but what I did say is if he makes close to 100,000, she has a speech pathology degree. Okay. And she could get a $50,000-$60,000 a year job. Boom. You've got your income is now rolling in. And here's the bottom line. Here's a hard reality. They chose to have a second child under these circumstances. All right. Instead of saying, hey, maybe we should wait, another year, let's knock out what we've got. Everybody put their shoulder to the wheel, as my grandmother would say. She said so much we got sick of it. It's like, everybody put their shoulder to the wheel. It's house chore day on Saturdays. Okay. So we did. All right. If they could have done that and let's say wiped out this debt in a year, let's just say, okay, year and a half. Then they had their second child. Now the debt is wiped out. Let's just say year, 2 years. Okay. Now the debt is wiped out. Okay. That stress, that anxiety is gone. Now mom or dad, okay, but in this case would be mom from the call. Now mom could stay at home. You see, this is a result. This is the consequence of the financial actions we chose to do. We chose to have a child while we were still deeply in debt, okay? And perhaps, just perhaps, we should have waited a little longer, put our shoulder to the wheel a little bit sooner, right? That to me, again, and I say it over and over, our financial predicaments are really our own doing. It's our own unraveling. It's our inability or whatnot, mental health state, whatever. Okay. We put ourselves in this financial situation. She could be a stay-at-home mom if the $90,000 debt were wiped out, if their personal debts are wiped out. We don't know what that is yet. I'm assuming these were two different debts he's talking about. Okay. The first child wouldn't be 2, but maybe now about age 4. These are decisions. What I care about, what I hope is she's not giving him any grief for going to work. Because there's one thing I cannot stand that women do. Okay. I'm not saying I don't like women. This is the thing I don't like that some women do. They want to be a stay-at-home mom. They've gone to college. They've run up a degree. They're never going to use a day in their life. Now they want their husband to go work to pay off the degree, while at the same time, feeding and funding the family's needs. And then they also complain to the guy about, well, you work 15 hours a day, right? I don't think that's very good. You can't ask someone to go out and be the breadwinner so you can have the luxury to stay at home. And it is a luxury, in my opinion, to stay at home. You can afford to stay at home. That's a heck of a luxury. And if you can afford to stay at home and you don't even have to have a job to go with it, like no little hobby or nothing to bring in a little extra money, that's a true luxury.
And that means somebody's watching the baby. Or you can figure out X, Y, and Z. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're leaving one of your huge weapons, financial weapons at home, heading off into a war that y'all started, which is going to leave just dad to get shot at and beat up the whole time.
Yeah, mom needs to take her punches as well. This is their children, their finances. It seems like such a waste of talent, resources, financial stability when someone is in debt like this, when you have a household that's in debt like this, and you've got someone who's perfectly capable of delivering pizzas just sitting at home. It's also telling on the type of person you marry, okay? If you're a guy and you find out that the person you're married to really doesn't want to work, really is like, no, you go ahead and you go to work. That tells you a lot about the type of person you married. Me, I'll work my ass off. Whatever we have to do, I'll do it, okay? It just doesn't matter to me. I've worked part-time jobs at Target. I've worked part-time jobs at Mervyn's. That's a store like Target. It was in Oregon. I don't even think they exist anymore, okay? Showing my age at 56, all right? It just doesn't matter. But guys, you're in trouble if when your household is in financial trouble and you have a perfectly able-bodied person at home and their whole excuse for never being able to work is, well, we have a child at home. That's my whole excuse. I think that becomes a marital issue at that point. And again, this is if you are in financial debt. You see yourself on a runaway train financially.
And you're placed in an impossible position, which is I have to work 90 hours a week, which, by the way, 40 is not going to cut it here. Yes.
Nope, it's not. He needs to be working minimum 60. And I'll tell you, one person can't work 90 and keep their sanity for very long. I've worked 80 and I got so sick, literally sick. Doctor, sick. I had to stop. And I was in my 20s. I couldn't pull that off. Your body just can't sleep. It can't process. And then you lose your job anyways because you're not all mentally there.
You got to work Saturdays. You got to work Sundays. Y'all owe 6 figures in debt. Y'all are broke, okay? You got to do what you got to do, what you got to do.
And she got to do what she got to do. And that is get to work.
And, man, it's going to be tough to be a whole present dad. And it's going to be tough for her to be a whole present stay-at-home mom with no support and assistance from you, right? So y'all do.
But this was a choice. Let's remember, this was a choice. This was not forced upon them. This was a choice. I don't care what your religious beliefs are about birth control or anything else, okay? Use it, don't use it, doesn't affect my life any, but whatever it is you believe, whatever it is you do, that was your choice.
Doing this together and taking it's going to suck for everybody on the front end, but man, y'all get through this thing fast. It's the buffalo running through the storm.
I have a hunch she doesn't want to work. Sorry, John, didn't mean to interrupt. Sometimes it can be hard for me to tell when to pause. I actually try to pause at certain stops, but sometimes it is what it is. I suspect she doesn't want to work because if she wanted to work, there'd be no need for him to call in because she'd be busy working too. And they would be, or if he called in, he'd be like, okay, my wife wants to work weekends and I want to work the weekdays. How should we shuffle this? What I get is she's probably said to him, you go do it. That tells you the type of woman you marry. And God help you if that's the type of woman you ever have to divorce and your kids are minor.
Both link arms, y'all run straight into the middle of this thing. No, it's not how this is the world we created for ourselves by borrowing all this money. And
having a second kid before we were out of debt. So John is absolutely right. It is the world they create. I created my world that created 2 bankruptcies in my 20s and early 30s. I created that world. I've made darn sure I didn't create that world again.
Now we're going to get through it together as fast as humanly possible, and we're going to work our way out the back.
Why do I think she's not in on this? And this is what's causing him anxiety. Imagine if he had a partner that was in on this. He wouldn't be carrying the anxiety that he has and be like, okay, I got a partner. We're going to do this together. And that's how the phone call would be shaped, but it's not.
So how does that sound?
Sounds like he perhaps needed to marry another woman.
Sounds tough.
Yeah.
Like I said, sounds like he possibly married the wrong woman.
I feel like I'm the stronger one in the relationship. That
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means that when it's late, I'm willing to keep going.
See, basically what he's willing to do is he's willing to martyr himself for his family. Now, look, there's good family martyrism and bad family martyrism, okay? Martyring yourself because you perhaps married a woman who doesn't want to go to work. I'm just calling it out. I don't think she wants to go to work. This is why he feels all the stress. So I'm going to, stake myself up there on the cross, and I'm just going to kill myself in the process. That's not healthy martyrism. Okay. I mean, I don't know. He has assigned himself the role of martyr, and his wife is accepting it because she sure as heck doesn't want to go out and go to work. She's like, okay, honey, you go do it. You go put yourself on the cross for all of us.
I'm willing to, she got her talent. She's great with our son.
You know what? Being great with your kid doesn't have squat to do when you're 6 figures in debt in your family and you need 2 people working. Lots of people are great with their kids that work full time, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Lots of people are great with their kids where the person was a stay-at-home parent, realized they either need to go back to work full time or at least part time. Lots of people are great with their kids, okay? It ain't got crap to do with whether or not you're going to be responsible financially. Are you both willing to take the helm and get out of debt? And if she's using the excuse of, but I'm great with the children, well, then that's every parent on the planet. Well, not all of them, but you get my point, okay? But parents work anyway, right?
She's a wonderful mother. She's excellent wife.
No, she's not. That's not an excellent wife. An excellent wife would be you calling in saying, you know what, I got the most awesome wife in the world. You know what, we're getting ready to have a second kid. We realize, that we are 6 figures in debt. She and I have agreed that we are going to split up our work schedule. And for the next, 18 months, we're both going to make extreme sacrifices so we can get ourselves out of debt. That's an excellent wife. It is not an excellent wife when you're calling in saying, I'm anxious, and the best you can say about her is she's good with your kids. She better be good with your kids, otherwise the law is going to come down pretty hard.
When it comes to buckling down to spend the extra hours, to keep working in the wee hours of the night, to keep going.
She don't want to do it.
Push. Maybe I do it unhealthily. I push myself too much and too hard sometimes.
She's convinced you that that's your role, and you've bought into it.
I feel like I'm more capable of it.
Okay, so maybe a little bit of his own ego is coming in. It's kind of like he can't say, I'm the better worker. There are multiple plays going on here, and I'm not even a psychologist, and I can see the games going on, all right? But from his end, he can't. She's helping him be a martyr, and he's a voluntary martyr. Oh, I'm the best person in the family that can solve all of our problems, so I'm going to stake myself on the cross to do it. It's like she doesn't want to work, and she's helping to watch him kill himself, and he's convinced himself that he's the better of the two, that he's qualified to kill himself, so he kills himself too. This is it's almost a dysfunctional marriage, if you ask me. I would darn near say this is a marriage issue and not a money issue first. Because if they keep going like this, at some point he's going to become resentful towards her, because he's going to start experiencing, if he isn't already, the mental, psychological, physical effect of being in this anxious relationship. She's going to start getting upset because she's going to feel like, well, gee, I'm the only one who raises our child. He hasn't seen his father in days. Or he only sees you a few hours a week. This is going to go from a financial problem, I suspect, to becoming a marital issue, if it isn't already.
I would disagree with that. You might be able to push forward. You might be able to push forward without a goal. But if she gets through graduate school and speech path, that's a tough program. And working with those kids and families or with the geriatrics every single day is tough. She's tough.
She's tougher than she's letting on. She just doesn't want to do the work. What parent wouldn't rather stay at home with their kids? Most would.
She's delivered a baby.
Yeah, she's made a human, dude.
Goodness gracious.
She's making a second one. Here's where it often people often run out of gas when there is not a end in sight.
Right, and right now there is no end in sight. It's like you're just going to go forever and ever like this, and you've got a baby on the way, right? I hope this wasn't one of those save the marriage children. one, because it won't work if it was. If the marriage was already stressed out and this is to save the marriage baby, nah, this won't work.
Yeah.
The question is, you want to struggle for the next 2 years or 15? And so that's what we're trying to help you with. Is it's going to be stressful either way. We just want you to solve for freedom a whole lot faster.
Yeah, there's the
See, to me, this isn't that stressful. Maybe it's because I don't have kids and I'm missing something. Okay, I might be just stupid and I'm missing something. But if you have two capable and willing adults, they're both highly educated. I mean, for God's sakes, he's an engineer, she's a speech pathologist, yada yada. Why is this so difficult? The only thing I can see that makes it difficult is one person just doesn't want to do their share of the physical labor to go out and get a W-2. That's what's difficult. Oh, there's the timer. Okay, people, we're going to pause real quick. My chiffon cake has to be checked on. So we're just going to pause really quick and I will be right back. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. Now that the lemon chiffon cake is flipped over. Hold on.
There's not an easy path here. Here's what we see all the time, though. One of you goes all in and you work 75 hours a week. You're a structural engineer, and then you're driving Uber to the airports on Saturday mornings at 5 a.m., and you get some side hustle gig, and then you deliver pizzas on Sundays, and you do that, and you're a grinder, and so you'll do it for 18 months.
But here's the problem. You have to be careful that you're not grinding so hard that your main job, the engineering job, starts to suffer. Like I said, I've worked 80 hours a week. I did it in my 20s. I got really sick. I just got physically sick and it kicked in about 5 months of doing that type of schedule. I was in my 20s.
And you'll get little gulps of air with your kids, and your wife will start to resent the fact that she's doing all of this by herself, that her husband hasn't changed a single diaper.
And the wife has no reason to resent that. None at all. Just like the husband can't be resenting that the wife doesn't bring home a W-2. He's out doing all the grinding, the pushing, the dealing with traffic. You know, when you start to keep score with each other, that's when I believe the marriage starts breaking down. Okay, one starts going, wait a minute, you're not doing your fair share. And then the other one finds the fault in the other person, and it just goes back and forth.
You're going to start resenting her and this whole situation because you haven't got to change one single diaper and you miss your family. And then the air conditioner breaks. And then you put it on the credit card because you have to. You got 2 babies in your house.
I've always believed, like I've said, you're as strong as your weakest link. And sometimes you don't know what your weakest link is until you need your partner, until you need each other. And then you're going to find out where the weakest link is. And sometimes, you marry someone thinking, hey, they're going to be all in it with me when things go rough and when I need help. And you realize, oops, they're not there.
And you see how this thing just keeps going and going. That's why we tell everybody, run as fast as you freaking can through this.
But you're not going to be able to run through it quickly if you're slogging in the mud with someone, who's not participating with you. It's not going to be possible. My ex is the one who chose to leave. I believe if he had not left, I don't believe there's any way I would be debt free today. And no, I got nothing in the divorce but a used up 10-year-old car. That's what I got. So nobody can sit there and go, oh, well, she was just handed all this divorce. Nope, that was it. That's what I got. And I had my education and my job. So you're only going to be able to run through the rain, if you're not running alone. And you're attached to someone, how hard are they willing to work? And you may find that they're not willing to work as hard as you thought. And because this is a money issue, that's what they both need to focus on, is how to generate more money. And to me, it's just not fair to say to the person that's going to work every day, hey, well, you just keep going to work some more. Because what happens if that person gets tired and they go, fine, you know what? I'll stay home with the kids. You go to work. And then you're like, oh, well, no, I don't want to do that.
Ex-husband and I were a co-signer on my son's condo.
Right there, people. Right there. We could probably even call it a night. Let's see what happens here. Of course, we're going to use my son as a bum and about to lose his house. So let me guess. Probably when they were a married couple, I'm going to assume. They signed off on the son's condo. But I'm willing to bet that they signed off on the son's condo already knowing the son was a BUM, a bum. The son, by shock and awe, has not made the payments on the condo. And now they're left in shock and awe going, oh my goodness, what did we do wrong? And now what I'm willing to bet is he's not making payments, or if he is making payments, he's making partial payments. But either way, the payments aren't being made. And now the condo's probably at risk of foreclosure. And the parents are trying to figure out where they went wrong, and where they went wrong was co-signing a loan for a bum of a kid. Have I got this? Have I got this? And this is why we say, don't co-sign. And if you're going to co-sign, and you've heard me say, you should only co-sign for your kids. And you have also heard me say, if you're going to co-sign for a child, okay, you need to do it very judiciously. Don't just co-sign for any kid. Don't just co-sign for them because, the blood runs in the family or the adoption runs in the family. I'm adopted, okay? You should be very, very selective. I am telling you, this is most likely the story. Let's find out.
Back in 2004. And
this is in 2004 and they're having problems?
since that time, my son is unable to pay his mortgage because he...
20 years? This is 20 years? This just ran 7 hours ago. This is okay, everybody stop. Where were you in 2004? Let's all think about it. Now, where is I after screaming Y2K, and thinking all the computer systems were going to shut down? See, I have students that weren't even born yet, so that takes care. Oh my God, my students that I teach weren't even born yet. I was living in Oregon trying to find myself, because that's where I'm from, Portland, Eugene. Oh my gosh. Anybody remember they were at 2004?
He's unemployed. He lost his job. And
Since
he's been unemployed
2004?
since April.
Dave, thank you. Yeah. Are we still rolling on that 2004? And I'm also willing to bet the parents are enablers. You know how we know they're enablers? Because this has been going on since 2004.
No. He purchased the condo in 2004.
Okay.
This past April, he lost his job, and he's been unable to pay the mortgage.
How many times did you pay it since
How long have they had a mortgage on this condo? It is a condo.
2004?
Oh, it's happened before, about 10 years ago. He ran into trouble paying his mortgage.
Is he in trouble with the law?
And he was able to do a forbearance. And, of course, I assisted financially at that time.
You know what, people? There are times when I just can't feel sorry for those who help those who will not help themselves. You just can't. It's like, how many kick me signs do you want to wear? And then you want us to feel sorry for you because somebody keeps kicking you even though you voluntarily wear the kick me sign. He's a mama's boy. He's a mama's boy who's got everything he's always wanted because mama has paid for it. And even though they may be divorced, daddy's probably kicked in too. But I'm willing to bet since they've been divorced, I'm willing to bet mother's kicked in even more. Something just tells me that. I could be wrong. He is a mama's boy. This is a grown man. God knows how old he is. Okay? Jeez.
And you keep using the word unable. Is he unable or is he unwilling?
Yeah, why do you not have a job?
One of my
since
best friends in the world's a
April?
paraplegic. He is unable.
No.
I lived above a paraplegic when I was in Oregon, and he was para is 4, quadra is 4, para is 2. He was a paraplegic, and he freaking taught at the community college. Yeah, okay, and he couldn't. His legs didn't work. I stand corrected. Yeah, because he had to use a pin. I think he might have been close to a quadriplegic. Quad is 4, quadriplegic, close to it. But the medical transportation or the transportation took him to the local community college, and he taught a class twice a week. Then he'd come back home. He'd be driven back home. And then I'd get calls sometimes at 1 o'clock in the morning, say, Carrie, you're making a lot of noise upstairs. Could you please rearrange your furniture at a different time? And I'd be like, oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Okay, you want to? I was absolutely impressed by this guy.
No, he's physically capable.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad she says that with a lot of confidence. He is physically capable, which means you as the mother are choosing to baby him.
He has not found a job since April. He says he's looking.
One of the
he can't find a job.
One of the hottest hiring markets in human history.
They are hiring everywhere. Everywhere. No, it probably may not be the pay you want, but people are hiring. He's a mama's boy, and she's afraid to let him go. I'm telling you, she's afraid to let him go, so she supports him in every way possible. And I'm also willing to suspect, like I said earlier, Dad's probably stopped supporting him at this point. So just my gut hunch.
He's chosen not to work.
I guess so.
Okay, let's use...
Do you remember yesterday's story? Now, for those who don't know, you can watch this in the description box. There's a link to this video without all the yammering, okay? Remember the story that we did yesterday, and I said to you at what point, because the woman's husband, they filed their taxes separately, married but filing separately. She filed her taxes every year. He did not file his taxes for the last 5-6 years, and he owes $100,000 to the IRS as of a year ago. Yes, $100,000. Okay, I will link it at the end of this video here so you can find it easily. But in the video, I said, is there a point, which I believe there is, where we can no longer claim that we are a victim to the things that happen around us? And I don't care if it's personal relationships. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care if it's money. But does there come a point where we have to take responsibility for our actions and say we know? We know when we're not with the right person. We know when we're in the wrong job. We know when, we are misspending our money. In other words, there comes a point where we can't claim that we're naive, where we can't claim that we just don't know. And if we choose to continue with the actions that don't feel good to us, even though we know what's going on, then are we not at fault ourselves? In other words, we can't play victim our whole life. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that wasn't the right person for me. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that was the wrong job. Oh my goodness, I didn't know I was spending money wrong. Oh gee, I didn't realize my spouse was misspending money. In other words, once we are made aware of something, we can't claim that we don't know. Now, the catch with that may be, well, what happens if we don't want to be made aware? Okay? But the problem is we're still made aware of it, even if we choose to live in denial. Living in denial does not mean we're not aware. Think about that, okay? It just simply means we've chosen to ignore it and to act as though it doesn't exist. But there comes a point where this mother can't just simply say, I don't know if she'll say it, but just, a hunch, acting shocked that her son has just done this. I mean, he doesn't have a job. He won't pay the mortgage or whatever. He hardly looks for a job. At what point was she aware of this? Probably shortly after she gave birth to him. But that's the reason we stop feeling sorry for people, because there comes a point when you know the situation, right? There comes a point when you know, and whether you choose to stay, go, help, whatever, that's up to you. But you can't say you didn't know.
I just want to call a spade because it helps us make decisions, right?
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, understand.
you're still on the mortgage.
Yes. My ex-husband and I are co-signers, so we're responsible for paying the note if he does not.
Mm-hmm.
Was she really expecting this son of hers to pay the note, to pay the mortgage? Can her heart of hearts get down on one knee, look up at the sky and go, I really thought he was going to pay this. I'm in absolute shock. He didn't pay. Really?
And he's not been
We're
paying
not-
it.
Yes. So I have been paying it since April.
Oh.
My ex-husband made about 3 of the mortgage payments. So now I want to know what would be the best avenue for me to convince my son to sell it, let it go for foreclosure, and I told him, or else you get a job and you pick up the payment.
This is stupid. Maybe it's just me getting older, but damn, this is stupid. A mother having to tell her grown-ass son, having to talk to him like he's 12 years old. That's what you tell a 12, 13-year-old. That's what I tell my middle school students. Okay, these are the choices you can have. These are the consequences of those decisions you can make. Let me lay it all out for you. They're 13 years old, 14. Okay? Understandable. Okay? I'm sure that's what their parents do. These are the choices you have. These will be the consequences. Okay? But to be a grown man and having your mother lay that out. And what an insult to her as a mother that she should even have to do this. But part of me goes, she's nurtured it though. This is why I don't see her as a victim. Okay? She's nurtured this in him. There is no way I can tell you in God's green earth, okay? First off, my parents would never sign off on a condo with me because they're not going to put themselves in that type of fiscal liability. And also, they just simply expect their kids to do what? Do better. Doesn't matter how you get there. Just do better. That's what they expect. That's from all of my parents. Past and present. She's humiliating herself as a mother, in my opinion. She's lowering her position. This is just the way I see it. There's no way my parents would ever do that. They would never co-sign on a condo and then if I didn't pay, have to talk to me like I'm 12, 13, 14 years old. But she's nurtured this. And she's nurtured it for, I suspect, most of his life. And so has his dad. But I'm willing to bet, like I said earlier, she takes the heavier hand towards the nurturing because that's her baby boy. But at some point he gets really unattractive and this is that point. Do we even know how old he is?
But I don't want it to go to foreclosure because I don't want it to affect my credit. My credit rating is 820.
She's 8 points above my credit rating. I have 812 and she's the mother. She knows she has a bum of a son. She knew this when she signed it. Guys, this is nothing that the mother did not know. This is nothing that the parents did not know. And now she's acting like she's in shock. Am I on track so far? Am I on track what I told you this is about? But I don't want to hurt my credit. Well, then you shouldn't have co-signed for your son, especially if you know he's a loser. I don't know if he's a loser. That's just what the... Oh, I'm sorry. My son is a bum and about to lose house. Oh, geez. See, look at that. I'm even looking at it wrong. Okay, my apologies. Well, I can say it for him. She might have a loser of a son. But it's my son is a bum and about to lose his house. My contacts get a little dry in the evening, so, sometimes words bounce around on the screen. But now she's going to play victim. She's going to play victim. Does she have the right to play victim at this point? What do you think?
Every time it's paid late, it affects your credit.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so if you understand and you still chose to sign for him, why are you in shock? I'm telling you, guys, it's like the video yesterday. The woman married now he was a loser, I can tell you that. Her husband, he chose not to pay taxes for 6 years, and then she's in shock. I can't believe the IRS bill is $100,000. Oh, yeah, you can. Sure, it's easy. Around 18, 20,000 a year owed. Sure. That's a piece of cake to add up with that. I don't know what's so difficult.
So I just don't know if there's any options for me.
Is he on the note at all?
Co-signer.
Yeah. Is he on the note?
He's my son is the owner of it.
Oh, Lord. So basically that's the thing. When you sign, I read it once somewhere. I can't remember. I did not come up with this quote, but you sign, you get all the responsibility and none of the reward. That's a quote I read somewhere. I can't remember where, but it's really true. She didn't even put themselves as co-owners and she knew she had a loser of a son. At least put yourself as co-owner so you have a say. Put in the comments if you think she's a victim in this situation. Me, I don't think she's a victim. But now she's going to try to play victim. And she's probably going to have to kiss that 800 credit score bye-bye, at least for a while.
Yeah, he's on the note. She's
So all
the
three of you.
co-signer, yeah. Yeah. You can't force him to sell it. You can just talk him into selling it. Will he sell it if you tell him to?
I would say no, because a bum like that's not going to want to lose his free room and board. How do you get a son like this? I mean, I'm not a parent, but god dang, how do you wind up with a kid like that?
No, he's dragging his feet about that. He
Yeah,
really doesn't
no
want
kidding.
to.
Well, he's
I
dragging
did
his feet
talk-
because he knows you're going to pay. For 20 years, you bailed him out.
So that means 20 years old? I don't know how old this kid is.
Yes, I understand that.
And you've probably given him some stern talking tos over the last 20 years.
And every stern talking to is ended with, but we'll help you. We'll pay for it. Don't worry, mommy and daddy have got this. And if daddy doesn't have it, mommy's got it. This is what you get when you raise a mama's boy.
And then
Yes, I have.
you still paid it. So, yeah, he's dragging his feet because you taught him how to.
Thank you. Thank you, snaps. She bred him, she fed him. This is what she got.
I think you have to sit down and say, I'm not paying this rent. Dave, I'll leave it to you. I mean, it's,
For her to say that, and I would too, she's got to be willing to let that credit score tank. Okay? That's what she's got to be willing to do. And not take him in. In other words, she has to get her head out of the sand, quit being the ostrich and sticking the head in the sand. And she's kind of the knife, kind of a blade on both sides. I mean, she can pay it, and then she's just bought him a place, all right, that she doesn't own, or she could choose to not pay it and tank the credit score. I'd choose not to pay it and tank the credit score. That's what I would choose. But then again, I wouldn't sign something like this for a kid, much less a kid who was lazy and hadn't proved himself. This kid did not prove himself in any way before they signed this over to him. I'm shocked that they just signed the ownership over to him. I mean, I'd at least say, okay, we'll put you on as, a third, and a third. And that's generous. Okay? But to just let you have it? No, he's going to live there. She's going to learn a lesson. Okay? And that is, say goodbye to 800. It may drop down to 6.
it's gonna ruin your.
Yeah, you're going to get foreclosed on if he gets foreclosed on.
Yeah.
That's how this works. So
Can you
Right.
afford to buy
And
him out?
Was it that rewarding oh my God, that's rewarding the kid. Oh wait, all right. I don't want my foreclosure. My credit score is so important at this point. I wouldn't think the credit score, unless she has a reason as to why she immediately needs a credit score, I'd let the credit score tank. Absolutely. But what a way to reward your son. What a way to reward your bum loser son. Okay. Hey, okay. All right. You're not going to pay for it. We'll buy you out. You know what that reminds me of? You hear those renter stories. And the only way the landlord can get the renter out is to buy the renter out and say, okay, fine, I'll give you $2,000 if you'll just leave. This is why I have no interest in being a landlord. None whatsoever.
I could. But I just don't know what my best options are, because if he would sell me the condo, then it's mine.
He sure as hell ain't going to do that. This kid's not dumb. Somebody may be lazy, but it doesn't mean they're dumb. So why would he give the mother the condo that she bought out and now he's out of a place? No, his goal is she's going to pay off the condo because he owns it. And because he's the legal owner, she can't force him to do squat. She can't force him. So now he's got a condo. Free.
Right? For me to do what I want with it.
exactly. And then you
And
can
if he-
then you
if
just
he
sell
knows-
it. Then you sell it.
And then where does he go? Like I said, you breed him, you feed him. This is what she raised. No way in hell would my parents not only not do something like that for us, like I said, they expect us to do a whole lot better. Okay? They don't care how that put timelines on it, all right? But you need to navigate the world yourself. That's just the way my parents are. And I thank them for that. Because I didn't wind up like this kid. This mother has coddled him so much. And now that it's not convenient for her to coddle him, at least it's sounding like that for the like I said, this ran 8 hours ago today. Now that it's not convenient for him to be coddled, now she wants the problem to be magically fixed. It doesn't work that way.
And
Right.
resell it and get your money back out, and at least that way you didn't lose anything.
That's not gonna that's not gonna happen. This kid's not dumb. He knows how to play his parents because he's been playing them his whole life.
My ex-husband and I were a co-signer on my son's condo.
Did I just lose this? All right, everybody, you know the routine. Put it on hold. I'll be right back. My goodness. Okay, I think we're back pretty close. I just hit the wrong key.
Yeah, you could just say, all right, let's get it appraised. I'm going to buy it from you. And then you put it on the market and sell it. That's what's best for you.
But she's raised a son by her own hand, okay? She's raised a son that does what's best for him because that's how mom and dad raised him to be. So you can't raise him one way and then expect a different result miraculously decades later when he becomes an adult, when that was how you've raised him. Mark my words, they've raised him like this.
That is unbelievably aggravating, and it's not necessarily what's best for him. What's best for him is to experience some pain.
And mother has never allowed him to experience it because that's her son. Mark my words. I know I'm right on this. Mothers have never allowed him to experience pain.
But he's not going to in this scenario unless you do. That's the problem with co-signing. You get to experience the pain with him.
And he's going to play chicken with you, and you've got a lot more to lose than he does financially, right?
Yes, I do.
Now, I'm glad, John, I'm really glad you said that because I have said that before in prior videos. The problem with co-signing, okay, is the person who's doing the co-signing is the one that obviously has the better credit, has the more stable job, and or has the more stable job, has the higher motivation and drive, hence why they're the co-signer. The one who needs help typically has the less job to possibly even no job, may or may not be as motivated, okay, makes less income. So, of course, when there's a problem, the one that has more to lose is the one who co-signed. And the one that needed the co-signer knows this. They ain't stupid. Her son is not dumb. Her son's been playing his parents for forever because his parents allowed it. So her son's got nothing to lose. Matter of fact, her son has everything to gain. A free condo, totally free.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the condo worth?
Maybe about 40,000.
Worth?
45. No, I would. Well, he would be lucky if he could get 60 for it.
Oh my God!
Today? Is it 2 shacks and a? Wait a minute. Oh, okay. 60,000 today? Like I said, this was 8 hours ago. I mean, does it come with a toilet? Does it come with plumbing and electricity?
God, what do you owe on it?
30.
Okay.
And he's got 11 more years.
Okay. Go.
Okay.
Go tell him that he can no longer screw up your life with his laziness. He needs to sell you this condo.
See here, but here's the thing. Okay, Mr. Ramsey, in all due respect. We're making it sound like she's a victim. She's not a victim. Not in any way. I do not see her as a victim even a little bit. Okay? We're making it sound like she's a victim. That she's this innocent mother just trying to help her son and he screwed her over like this. And her ex-husband. They're not victims. This was all voluntary. And I will say it over and over and over. We, in my opinion, create most of our life's financial issues. We are the ones who create our financial issues. It is rarely just simply thrown at us, just completely out of our control. It rarely is. I'm convinced of it after listening to more phone calls than I probably ever thought I would listen to in a short period of time. Though I've been following Ramsey for, obviously I've known Ramsey for decades, okay? But who created this? Is she a victim?
Even if you buy it for whatever, have a real estate agent give you an appraisal, buy it for that amount, put it back on the market and resell it, and he needs to move.
He's not going to do it because his mother's not going to ask him to do that. She'll sit and she'll cry and, claim that, her credit's tanking, but nah, she's not going to ask him to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that protects you. For some reason, I thought this was a $600,000 condo. It's a $60,000.
No.
Yeah, just you may lose a couple $1,000 here or there by moving all this gyration around, but you need to get out of this trap you put yourself in, and the trap is co-signing.
Thank you. Yeah, she's not a victim. When you co-sign, you're not a victim. You may be gullible. You might be naive. Been there, done that. Not as co-signer, but in other areas, of course.
You can't get out of the trap. You're either going to be an enabler or you're not going to pay, and then he's going to get foreclosed on, which means you're going to have a foreclosure on you, and then they're going to come around looking for all of you, wanting some money out of y'all because the condo won't bring enough at repo to even cover the old mortgage on it. But it's a piece of crap condo to start with.
Hey, my condo's probably not much more expensive than this. My condo is not a piece of crap condo, though.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm the one.
Ann,
I'm sorry.
will you forgive yourself for the divorce? Finally.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, see again, playing victim. I helped out my son extra because I feel bad we got divorced. Come on, people. We're all adults here, okay?
You're still trying to make that right with him? Stop. It's 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose some money, but you're also gonna lose your relationship with your son. It's not worth it.
I stand by my analysis. This was happening before they ever got divorced.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I would buy it from him, have him move out.
So you've just rewarded him for doing nothing. This son's actually pretty smart.
And turn around, put it right back on the market and sell it. And if you lose a little bit that way, that gets you out of this trap. And then you have a standalone relationship with your son that's mother's son that is no longer co-signer. Because co-signer's putting a strain on everything. It's making you do things you don't feel good about.
And it makes you resent your son. Every time that phone rings, you feel your chest tighten up because what's he going to ask? Like it's altered your relationship.
What's he going to ask for now? Yeah, this time. Because you're aggravated with him like we are for being lazy, not working since April.
He was lazy, folks, before April. This is his MO. Is that his method of operating? This is what her son was before the co-signing. This is what her son life was before April. Okay? You don't just go from being motivated to, nope, not doing anything. And he's an adult. Parents get divorced. It happens.
God, how much does it take to pay the condo note on $30,000? I mean, you can
deliver some pizzas.
Uber one day a month and pull this off. This is about the laziest human I've run into.
See, but that's the issue I'm having is Dave still makes it sound like it happened just in April. No, he's been like this his whole freaking life because his mother has babied him his whole life. The divorce just may have accentuated it, okay? But he was already that type of person. She was already that type of mommy.
21, and I graduate next month with a degree in finance.
Good for you.
And thank you. And so I've been dating my boyfriend now for almost a year. And, you know, as I'm graduating and as we've been talking about our life together, our future together, we have the idea of moving to Texas has come into mind. And so the idea kind of came into play because my boyfriend has a buddy out there that he could work with and make more money than what he's currently making. And I'm willing and open to the idea. However, I made it very, very clear to him when we started talking about the move that we both needed to have at least a couple $1,000s saved up prior to the move.
Ooh, I like this woman.
And I'm there. I have that money saved up. I'm pretty much ready to move.
Let me guess. She's done her due diligence. I'm just guessing here, folks. She's done her due diligence. All right. Hopefully she shouldn't have too much student loan debt. Okay. But let's put that aside right now. She says, you know what? I'm happy to move to Texas with you, dear boyfriend, of less than a year. I have a little problem with that, but we're going to put that aside. Okay. Only a year. All right. I'd like to have seen a little bit longer, but that's all right. Whatever. Okay. And I'm willing to bet he ain't saved a dime. Something just tells me. Because, again, it says, I'm afraid my boyfriend wants me to financially support him.
After I graduate. And I've talked to him about potentially going and moving to Texas about 1 to 2 months before I do, because in the whole time that we've been together, I've never seen him work full time. He's not in school. He never went to college. And he works about 20 hours a week right now as a personal trainer in his own business. And so I kind of threw that idea out there for him.
Wait. Okay, remember, I do not speed up these videos, okay? He never went to college, and I'm not going to yay or nay that, because not everybody needs to go to college to have a good life. So, okay, I can put that aside, all right? But the concern that I have is he's never worked full time, and I think she said he works as a personal trainer. And I'm sorry, family, but personal trainers, for the most part, unless you're that celebrity Hollywood personal trainer and you got a bunch of royalties and deals that have nothing to do with personal training going on the side, you got a bunch of business deals, you know, selling preamp, protein, whatever, all right? Unless you got that, and that's not most people, he's making nothing.
And he doesn't want to move out there without me because he thinks
I'm sorry.
I won't follow him. But
hold on, let me back. I'm sorry. Sometimes my finger trigger just gets a little shuddery.
Hours a week right now as a personal trainer in his own business. And so I kind of threw that idea out there for him. And he doesn't want to move out there without me because he thinks I won't follow him. But I genuinely believe that he doesn't want to move out there with me because
he needs a paycheck and she's it.
He doesn't have the financial means to do so. And I think he wants me to be there with him so he can lean on me a little bit.
All right, people, we know the tea. We know the tea. Get your teacups, everyone. Don't worry. If you don't have a teacup for tonight, you can pick up a teacup for tomorrow. All right, for those who don't know, the teacup is for, we got the gist of the story. So grab your teacups, family. I say, let's do it. Let us pour that tea. Ever so enlightening and refreshing. Can we say, family, that this boyfriend is no dum-dum? I think we can honestly say he's no dum-dum. Now, what I want to find out is just how high is her self-esteem? How high is her self-esteem? That's going to play a big part here.
But I've been burned in the past by an ex-boyfriend in a similar situation, and I lost thousands of dollars. And so...
Did she learn anything from it? What is her name? I don't know her name. Did the caller learn anything from, hey, I've been in this situation before. Let us not repeat it. Again, her self-esteem is going to be the big factor. She has the information and from past history, which family is why we listen to telephone calls that can be years old. I call it now the archive edition. Yes, it'll be called the archive edition. That's when we go, to me, that's 2 years or more back. That to me, I now call that the archive edition.
I don't really know what to do. He tells me that.
How does she not know what to do? See, folks, I'm telling you, self-esteem. She has all the information she needs. Not only does she have what the current situation is, she's got past history. So at some point, when you have the current situation, plus you have the past history, and you've been in the same situation, does there come a point where if you choose to go forward and milk the cow and the cow kicks you? I don't know if that was a good example or not, but hey, something to think of, right? You go forward with that experience and you feed him everything that he wants in money, yada, yada, and he hurts you in the end. Whose fault is that? First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Something like that.
His financial status is none of my business, but I think if we're moving in together...
Hold up.
...our situation, and I lost thousands of dollars, and so I don't really know what to do. He tells me that his financial status is none of my business, but I think if we're moving in together, it should be.
He says to her, your financial he says to her, quote, my financial status is none of your business. Oh, so if her alarm bells are saying, I think he wants me to go because I will pay his bills so he doesn't have to save anything. Hey, if she chooses to support him, I wouldn't need a phone call to Dave Ramsey for this. This is actually a slam dunk case. No need to call Dave Ramsey for this.
Warning. I work 20 hours a week and my money's none of your business.
Wow. I'll tell you, I had a relationship during /post college. I was still in college, but also graduated from college. And the person that I was dating, what was it? So I was like in my 20s. I was like 21 because I just graduated from college. We had dated about a year before I graduated. It was near identical to this, nearly, okay? And he basically worked, odd jobs, bartending. And I'm not talking, high fashion bartending where they can make, as, $50, $60, $70,000 being a bartender. No, I'm talking the weekend, joint and Eugene, okay? We're not talking high-end bartending, all right? Hopefully that makes sense. And then sometimes if he didn't do that, he was working at a screen printing shop and, and he just pretty much worked when he could. Family, it was the same people, if you've been following this channel, that he's the same dude that had me park my car in the rain because I paid less rent. Remember I told you at the beginning? When student loan Chit-Chat video version, first started, I think it was like September, right? September, October 2023. It's the same guy that told me to park my car in the rain because I didn't make as much. And again, it's not because he doesn't have a college degree, all right? Plenty of people make it without going to college. College is good for certain fields. Other fields, you don't need it, especially those hobby fields, as you know, right? But he worked when he could. Meanwhile, I was much more stable. I was much more steady. And during the 2 years or so we were together, he just gained more and more weight, didn't work 40 hours a week from what I recall. Maybe sometimes he did, maybe sometimes he didn't. Liked to lay on the couch, eat potato chips, watch football. It got to the point where it was so bad, I remember coming home and just going, please don't let him be there. That's how you know a relationship is really dead, okay? When you don't want to go home because that person is there. That's what... Today, I definitively know, throw in the towel.
Warning. The bells are going off in your head so loud that you can't even hardly speak around them.
This is where you can be academically smart, but not street smart, okay? She's academically smart, but she doesn't appear to have street smarts. And it's interesting because the fact, like I was saying earlier, she even has to call in. This really doesn't require a call in. I'll be totally honest. This is not a, I know it's different for everybody, but this isn't a situation that I would need to call someone and go, Dave, should I dump this guy that only works 20 hours a week, basically has no job, appears to have no career of sorts, won't talk to me about his money, but he certainly knows about my finances, and he wants to move to Texas where his friends are. Notice, Okay? It's about him. Because if I'm correct, she said they want to go to Texas, not because of her, but because of him. And he's got buddies out there who will hook him up with a job, cattle ranching or whatever it is. I don't know. Okay. Should I dump him? Oh, and by the way, the last guy I was in a relationship with did the same thing. It cost me thousands of dollars.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
You have alarms going off all around you. You just described them to us very clearly.
I know.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if she, some people have, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, just low self-esteem in the sense of abandonment issues, perhaps. Now I sound like John. Is she safe? But you know what I mean? It's like, I would rather be used and abused by this guy who clearly doesn't show signs of loving me, but that's better than being alone.
I know.
It's just it's a hard reality. It's a hard pill to swallow, the reality of what the situation is. But I think you know it, Allison.
Yeah. And
I generally believe that you can get comfortable in a bad relationship. I genuinely believe you can. And I'm speaking from experience. You can get to the point where being comfortable in a bad relationship is less scary than being uncomfortable on your own. And that's because I've been there. But once you strip away the fear, either by choice or sometimes involuntary, in my case it was involuntary, okay? Because he chose to leave. It wasn't a choice that I make. But once you strip away that fear and you're forced into that new situation, I think oftentimes at some point you breathe a sigh of relief and go, dang, if I had known it was going to be like this, I would have ended the situation myself. I would have walked out the door myself. I would have admitted to myself that this wasn't a healthy relationship for me. But what happens is we get so used to being in routine, even though it's an unhealthy routine, psychologically, physically, whatever. It's an unhealthy routine, but we get so used to that unhealthy routine that I believe it can, to more weak-minded people, myself included, I'm including myself in that, okay, to more weak-minded people with lower self-esteem, that unhealthy, uncomfortable, bad relationship, that's normal. And to step out on my own feels abnormal. So I'm also kind of wondering if she went from one bad relationship straight to this one. Kind of what is it, out of the fire into the pan or something like that, right? Maybe she didn't give herself a whole lot of time between the two relationships. Because, like I said, this seems like a no-brainer problem to solve. He works 20 hours a week. Meanwhile, she's got her college degree. She's going to get her career going. She clearly has the ability and the drive to save money. Most of us are going, what are you doing with the 20-hour-a-week loser?
I talked to him, and this also it impacts me a lot because, as I said, I'm about to graduate, and so I started looking for jobs out in Texas.
But is she at the point where it's healthy for her to go follow some dude who works 20 hours a week and is relying on his buddies to hook him up for a job in Texas? Or wouldn't she be better off going in her own direction, which might include staying where she's at or going in a totally different part of the country to pursue herself? At this point, in her case, I'd be like, you go to Texas, set yourself up, right? 6 months, I'll come out. 6 months to a year. If the relationship is truly going to survive, give it a year. I won't even give it 6 months. Give it a year because you got to pass that probation period. Give it 1 year. I'll fly out and see you, regularly. But in a year, we can reevaluate. If it's really meant to be, if it's really something that is supposed to stick, what's 12 months? And it's 12 months to prove to each other that they've got goals. She's proven to him that she can meet a goal, at least thus far. She can meet the goal of getting a degree and saving money. She's on two beautiful tracks. Again, we don't know what the student loan debt is, but that may not be relevant to this conversation. But it's always relevant somewhere in the back of our mind, right, family? But what's a year when you really get it down to it? I have known people personally who have literally uprooted their entire life, travel across country. Yeah, gal I met, 10 years back when I first got divorced, uprooted from New York to Florida. And she got off the plane. I think I might have told you this once before, family. She literally gets off the plane. The guy meets her at the airport and says, I'm really sorry, but you're not moving in with me. I'd changed my mind about the relationship. Meanwhile, she had literally left her job. And I'm talking, she did some sort of detective police type work. Yeah. I mean, it was a career. She didn't have a job. This woman had a career. Okay. She had left that, was ready to move, totally relocated. But one of the things I would have to ask is, where you're moving to, has the person you're going to proven themselves in any way? And if he's not proven himself except to say, hey, move to where I want to live because it's convenient to me and my buddies, well, what does she have to gain by moving? She has nothing to gain. He has everything to gain. You've heard me say before, family, before you make a decision as to whether to do or not do something, when someone makes a request of you, ask yourself, what does that person have to gain? I know you've heard me say that, but it really is important. Okay? What does someone have to gain that only works 20 hours a week, is clearly, not motivated to get a degree, a trade, a skill, because I've heard nothing of that type. Okay? Like I said, doesn't have to be a college degree. What trade skill has he got? I haven't heard one yet. What does he have to gain if she goes or if she stays behind?
We're kind of at the mercy of, when his friend says he can come and
that's just what I want. I want to pick up my life, move to another state on the Chit-Chat conversation of a buddy that I don't even know, but this loser of a guy that I'm dating knows. Oh, that's definitely comfortable. Not.
The problem is, Allison, you're building your life around somebody, number one, that you're not married to, right? I mean, you have no legal grounds on any level, and you've been burned in the past financially with relationships, as you said, and so you're following somebody that there is no true commitment and no true legal binding of anything, right? And so, that's red flag number one for me.
The fact that he said my finances is none of your concern.
And number two, there's so many splinters off of the situation that if I were your friends and sitting here, I would say, Allison, what's best for Allison? What's best for Allison? And that would be a different question if you guys were married. What's best for you guys as a couple?
Oh God, please don't buy a house with this guy and play house. And whatever, please don't. Please don't buy a house together or a car together or have a baby together.
But you're not. And so having that level of independence for you, Allison, to be able to say, what is best for me? And is it moving to a place that you don't have a job right now, following a guy who won't even let you into his finances, who hasn't had a pattern of doing well financially or work-wise because some buddy of his, X, Y, and Z. It sounds like a disaster. It really does.
Didn't I mention that, family? Did I not say about his finances? Yay me. Yay me. Yeah. She has established, I believe I alluded to that earlier. She has established a pattern. She has. She has started proving herself. What has he done to prove himself?
Does. And
so, Allison, you are very wise for 21 years old.
She's book wise, but for street smart, she might be dumb as a brick. I'm saying that nicely, but come on, folks. This is where people who are street smart go, and you went to college and you didn't learn this, because college is academia. Streets are streets.
Because you've actually analyzed this pretty carefully. You've got all the key points in the decision. What's hurting is that it's leading you to a conclusion that is painful.
If we think of our budget, and people look at why they're in debt and how they got into debt, and then they look at how to get out of debt, the answers are almost easy to find. It really is. Cut back your spending. take away a lot of your perks, some of your perks to a lot of your perks. Perhaps you're with the wrong partner that's an addict of some sort, okay? But what hurts is, and Mr. Ramsey's right about this, I wish I had thought of it, it's because you already know how to find the answers. And when you find them, and she already has the answers, you don't like it. You don't like the conclusion that you've come to. Though you really never needed to research, not like your conclusion needed to be, an archaeological dig project, because really it's on the surface. Her past history already has told her what this situation is going to end like. And this is why I wonder, what is her emotional state of mind? She has an academic state of mind. We got that. But what's her emotional state of mind? And I'm willing to bet she's 21, okay? And she said she was in a past relationship and she's been in this one for about a year. Well, let's just assume, let's just play devil's advocate. And let's say she dated the other guy, for 2 years. That would put her, 18, 19? So she goes straight from that loser dude to the next loser dude immediately. You know what I mean? If you kind of do the math on that. She doesn't appear to have ever had time for herself. She doesn't appear to have ever taken time to go, what can she do on her own out in the big wide world? Because let's face it, folks. At least having come from college, okay? Leaving college can be a bit scary. We go from high school to college and we think, oh my God, that's such a big jump. Yeah, it is a big jump. But college to the big wide world of adulthood, that's jumping off a high dive. She's had relationships within a very confined life experience, that is, as a college student. Because like I said, if you just mathematically look at it, she's been with this guy for a year, assume she dated the other guy for a couple of years, enough time for him to use and abuse her financially, okay, and possibly abuse her emotions, self-esteem, whatnot. She hasn't had, at least what I mathematically calculate, it's not like she's had even 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years on her own to see what can she do on her own out in the big wide world. So as much as we can sit and say, man, don't be with this loser, yada, yada, this guy's no good. He hasn't proven, himself in any way. We have to, and gently so, but we have to look at her. And we have to ask her, what's her name? Allison in Los Angeles. Allison, what have you done on your own outside the academic setting that's proved to yourself whether or not you need this person? She hasn't done anything yet. She's done nothing. And for some people, I can imagine that going into the big world of adulthood is scary. It's intimidating. And so in some ways, I get the sense that she might be using him as a crutch. Okay, just as much as he's using her as a crutch. In other words, it's kind of that symbiotic relationship they got going on. Yeah, we can say he's the more obvious loser, jerk, whatever you want to call him. But in a way, if her self-esteem is low enough, and if my math calculations, which I believe are pretty accurate, are right, she's never known her true self outside of high school and then immediately into college, and relationships all within the 4 walls of college. Now she's getting ready to step into adulthood, okay? And she's kind of scared. So much like a kitty, getting out of the wading pool and going on to the diving board for the first time. And some diving boards have handrails. Well, she could, and this is where she will have to hold herself accountable. I think part of the reason she's having such a hard time with this is she's kind of using the boyfriend, even though it's a dysfunctional, clearly, okay, we can see that from a mile away, dysfunctional, bad relationship that could wind up abusing and hurting her again. She's using the only thing she knows as a ramp to help get off that diving board into adulthood. But what she fails to understand is he can hold her back big time financially. If she thought the last boyfriend burned her, all right, financially, wait till what this guy can do. Wait till what this guy can do. Because now she doesn't have the 4-wall protection of being a student anymore. I know that was kind of windy, but hey, this channel. But if I break it down, that to me is kind of what it is. Because it's not fair to absolutely blame everything on the boyfriend. Hey, he's just going to get out of it what he can. Yeah, like I said, we know he's a loser. We can definitely put that to the side. We got that part established. But he's going to get as much of it out as he can. And if she's going to give it to him for free, right? Hey, why shouldn't he take it? So it's going to be her job to determine how much she's willing to give for free. I heard Dave say once in a call not too long ago, I can't remember what episode, folks. You know, I've done over a couple hundred of these. But I remember he said to a caller not too long ago, I think I'm going to say it's in the last month maybe, he goes, are you going to stop this action now? Have you had enough? It was a gal it was a woman that had called in about her husband, you know, basically hiding money and stuff. And he goes, have you had enough of it? And he wasn't saying it to be insensitive, but he's basically saying, look, none of this changes until you decide you want to make those changes. And sometimes, folks, we have to make changes and we have to kick certain people out of our lives. Okay, some people, you know, they're toxic for us. So we have to decide. She's clearly been in one toxic relationship and she's getting ready to enter another because I believe it's the only thing she knows. It's the only security she's ever had. And a part of her is going, well, insecurity that you're familiar with can be a whole lot better than entering something alone that seems so foreign. Just a thought.
If you had a little sister, do you have a little sister?
Yes, I do.
How old is she?
She's 12.
Okay. So she's 21 and you're now 30. And she comes and gives you this scenario. What are you going to tell her?
I would tell her not to do it.
Okay.
Absolutely not to do it.
Exactly. Because just like budgeting, folks, just like not so much budgeting, but getting ourselves out of debt. Okay. We know the answer. And the reason I believe she would be able to tell her sister not to do it, but she's having a hard time telling herself, is because it's always easier when you're not emotionally directly involved. You know, it's easy to look at someone else and go, get a second job, bring in more income, cut down on the current expenses you have. It's easy to do that because you're not the one actually having to do it. But when you have to get the second job, when you have to cut down on your current income / expenses, well, that becomes a whole different thing. So it's easy for her to tell her sister, drop the guy, okay? Because she's couple steps removed. But when she's the one who has to drop the guy, she's going, well, wait a minute. You know, my mornings, afternoon, and evening routine is going to suddenly change. Everything changes. It's much harder to make those changes when it applies to you, even though you know the answer and you know exactly what to do. And the amazing part is she has a blueprint from past history. So she's really got a guide.
All right.
But the thing is, I'm in this place where I am worried that if he treats me so wonderfully, and I'm worried that I'm never going to find something.
What is up with these people who go, but he treats me so wonderfully? Caller, do you remember last week, caller? Can't remember what day last week, okay? We have that 28-year-old son with the mom who basically wants to use her son as a retirement plan. And what did the son say about the mom? Anybody, family, remember? The son says something like, but the one, a quote, the wonderful mother she is. And then he made a comment about how she raised them so well. But that was an exact quote, the wonderful mother she is. But yet the mother's actually abusing him financially and probably emotionally. Okay, this was last week's call. All right. What is up with these people who are with people who are toxic? Yet they go, but they're so wonderful. What's it called? Is it the Nuremberg effect? Wasn't that I could be wrong. I don't know my history that well. But wasn't there an experiment years ago that they did that captors would have a victim for a really long time, and the victim got to the point where they wouldn't even testify against their captor because they would go, but the captor was fair. Yeah, they beat me sometimes. Yeah, they did other things to me sometimes, but it could have been so much worse, and I'm alive today. They didn't kill me. Okay. I don't remember if it's called the Nuremberg effect. For some reason, I think that's what it's called. Okay, I'm not interested enough to look it up, all right? But it's that sort of thing. So she's like, but he treats me so well. Hell, if I only have to work 20 hours a week, I get to move to the state of my choice, and you bring yourself and the wallet, and I get all that for free? Of course, I'm going to treat you like royalty. You can go out and do all the work, all the labor, all right? I'm just going to live off you? Yeah, I'd treat you like royalty too. If I was lazy, had nothing going on in my life, and I'm looking for a free ride. She cannot give to him anything she doesn't wish to give voluntarily. In other words, he can't take from her anything she's not willing to give. That's a better way of saying it, okay? He can't. He can't force her to move. He can't take her money, all right? Unless she voluntarily moves, voluntarily gives him the money. But it's true. She can't give him anything. Or I should say, he can't take anything from her that she doesn't voluntarily relinquish. I think this is one of those cases where, what is it? When someone is being abused, all right, I really think this is kind of like one of those Nuremberg cases. I really hope I'm right, but I really think that's what it's called. Because the fact that she's in a relationship that's as dysfunctional as the first one she has. Remember, family, we talked about alcoholics, and alcoholics, people who are raised in alcoholic families will oftentimes find someone who's an alcoholic and then unfortunately create their own alcoholic family, even though they themselves may not be an alcoholic. Why? It's comfortable. They understand, oh yeah, I know how the alcoholic blows up. I mean, not me personally, but just sort of playing devil's advocate. Oh yeah, I know what it's like to smell, alcohol on their breath every day when they get home, what it's like to stay out late, pick them up off the park bench at 2:00. In other words, that lifestyle becomes so familiar. And I suspect that this dysfunctional lifestyle of being abused financially is so familiar to her that she feels that this is what she's going to need to propel herself into adulthood. And that's really sad.
He actually doesn't treat you wonderfully. If he was working like 60 hours a week, making $100,000 a year, showering you with gifts and paying for everything and asking you to marry him so that he can make a lifelong commitment to you, and then, honey, let's go off to Texas and make a wonderful life, that's treating you wonderfully.
See, this girl doesn't know what it is. She doesn't know. So it makes me think she came from a dysfunctional family. It really does. And remember what he said to her. My finances is none of your business. Right there. But yet he wants you to pick up and move out of state. And of course he wants you to go with him, because what does he want? It's not just the money he wants, but he wants the assurance that he's got control so that the money can't leave. Because even if you stayed behind and you send him money, that's not the same as you move, you play house, because that's where it's going to be headed, right? You're going to play house. God help you get pregnant. Because I tell you, if you get pregnant by this guy, then he's got you exactly where he wants you. I know we oftentimes like to think it's the guy getting we oftentimes like to think, oh, it's the woman who wants to get pregnant so she can trap a guy. Hey, there are guys that'd be happy to trap down a financially successful woman. And even though, her career's not set yet, she's clearly shown she has the aptitude, she has the motivation to get it. He knows what he's got.
Not come over here so I can lean on you because I don't work much.
And why should he work more if she is going to be there? She is his meal ticket.
Yeah.
That's not treating you wonderfully. It's not the definition of wonderful. You would tell your little sister that. All I'm telling you is what you've already told me.
Makes me wonder if she had a father figure also in her life. Just a thought.
I don't really know what's going on except what you told me. But I can tell you this. I have had these situations over the years where everything in my brain is telling me not to do something, but my heart is pushing me forward anyway. And I always look back and go, ouch. So there's a proverb, Proverbs 27:12. It says, I just looked it up because I couldn't remember exactly where it was while we were talking. And there's actually a book been written on it by Andy Stanley. But he says, a wise person sees danger ahead and avoids it, but a foolish person keeps going and gets into trouble.
Well, it's a good thing that proverb wasn't held against me, because, man, I was in trouble so many times, even though I saw the danger clearly ahead. She's been given a gift, and that is she's been through this. And something I have learned is, as bad and traumatic as things can be, if you will take that experience as a gift, it can change your future. But you have to be willing to acknowledge and admit where you went wrong. You have to have, what is it my principal would say? You have to have the ability to self-reflect. That's what she would say. Can you reflect? If she is unable to reflect, seriously, and I don't mean, yeah, I know he's bad, should I really go? Obviously, she, as Dave said, she's done some reflection. She's called in. But can she reflect to the point that she has the strength, the emotional strength? Because I'm not really worried about her physical strength, okay? In other words, she can live here or there. That I'm not worried about. But does she have the emotional strength to disconnect herself from someone that's clearly not good for her?
And so,
Yeah.
No kidding. That's, like the proverb's kind of obvious. But I've at times gone ahead anyway, even though I knew down inside of you, your spirit is telling you, the better parts of Allison are speaking to you, and you're saying, this guy's not yet eligible for a life partner.
And it doesn't mean he could never be eligible, but he's got a hell of a lot of proving of himself to do. In my case, minimum, he would need to, in her situation, unestablished. She's not established yet. He's certainly not established, and it doesn't sound like he's going to be established anytime soon. And here's the other thing. If she were to allow him to go to Texas first, and she pursues her life, okay, as she moves forward with her life, I'm sure that one of the things he's afraid of is he's going to become looking less and less attractive, right? Again, she's been shuttered in the four walls of what I call school. Once she steps outside of school, she's going to be introduced to other men. Gee, her eyes are going to open wider. Okay, so she's not just meeting the men that she meets in college and that little, hotbed there of just, a very specific group of people. She's now going to step out and meet other men. And that, I guarantee you, is something that he's concerned about. The boyfriend is concerned about that, because stack him up against just about any guy and the boyfriend looks like a loser. He doesn't exactly want her going out and going, I know you moved to Texas a year ago, and I know I told you I was going to follow, but, I was going to pursue my dreams while you're pursuing your dreams in Texas. But I've decided after a year that, I don't think moving is in my best interest. Now what the hell's the guy going to do? His meal ticket just stayed behind. By the boyfriend encouraging her to go to Texas immediately with him, part of it is the control of, I don't want you to meet anybody else, because if I allow you to meet other people, then you might go, I don't want to be with this boyfriend who only works 20 hours a week. I'm meeting people in my workplace that work full time. I meet people in my workplace. They're motivated. All right. They've got goals. They're working on their building career. In other words, I'm meeting people more of my mental, aptitude, standing, whatever. Okay. I'm not, she's meeting people in her court, in her playing field. It's like when my students will say to me, as we round the end of my 18th year of teaching here in Tampa, students will say to me about how they're going to miss how they're going to miss middle school so much, and they're kind of nervous about high school. That's all understandable. And here's what I tell them. You know what? once you get settled into high school, I tell them, I give you the first month. I said, by the end of that month, I said, you're going to look back at middle school and wonder how you ever made it through and you would never go back. And they're like, no. And I go, yeah. I said, you will. And I tell them, you know how you look at your elementary school? I said, would you want to go back to elementary school? And they're like, well, no. I said, okay, right? And you thought this was the big playing field of middle school. I said, well, that's how high school's going to feel. I said, I'll give you 1 month. And for some of you, it'll only take a couple of weeks. There'll be a few, outliers, and they'll need a little more time to adjust. But in general, I've said to them, I give it by your first grading period, the first 4 or 5 weeks. Okay. I said, you'll look back at this and you'll go, I don't want middle school again. Because you've had your eyes open to something bigger. Your world has expanded. Her world can expand if she gets away from him and pursues life under her own terms, under a new vision. It stays shrunk if she stays with him so he can control her, so he only has to work 20 hours a week and she gets to do all the labor. This would be the type of guy that definitely would be a gold digger. Definitely a gold digger. I mean, she may not have any gold yet, but he's not stupid. He sees the potential she has to be a really good income earner, a really good breadwinner.
He hasn't earned the right for someone as good as Allison yet.
And I've talked about that too, have I not, family? Yay me. Yay me. I've talked about that. I've said he hasn't proven himself. And like I said, I really, really do wonder if she came from a dysfunctional family. You don't have to be a gambleaholic, a shopaholic. You don't have to have those type of addictions to have addictions like, just simply dysfunctional relationships. It may not involve alcohol or drugs. It's just a dysfunctional relationship. It's a dysfunctional, needy relationship.
He may be a sweet guy, but there's a lot of lazy guys that are sweet.
Oh, that's good. There are a lot of lazy guys that are sweet. Yeah. And the sweeter you are to a lazy guy, guess what? They get sweeter and sweeter until pretty soon they ain't doing crap and you're doing all of it.
Yeah. So what do you suggest I do?
I suggest that you tell him, ta-ta, bye to Texas, and don't stick around here waiting for me because I may be going to a total different state. As a matter of fact, I think we should probably give our relationship a breather, and if we're still together a year or two from now, then maybe we got something. In this case, family, time is on her side. Think about it like this. I just had this little thought. Time is on her side and against him. It's against him because he needs her to stay by his side now. Not 2 years from now. Not after she's had time to go out, look around at the cow pasture and see what else is mooing out there. Okay? He needs her now. Whereas time is on her side because if she says, halt, I don't want to do anything yet. I want to look around at the big old world. I want to see what's outside these 4 college walls. I want to see what's out there. And then she's got all the time to do it. That then hurts him. Because a guy like this, it doesn't take a lot for, like I said, it doesn't take a lot for a guy only working 20 hours a week with no drive, it appears, to quickly be replaced by someone else. Quickly. It's not like she's looking at a guy who has a whole lot to offer. Okay. I may not, hell, I'll use myself. Okay. Not that I think I'm all that. I just like to use myself. Okay. I may not be wealthy. All right. But you got to admit, I have my shit together at this point. Okay. Full-time job with pension, with Social Security, working on building up a couple $100,000 over the next 12 years. That's my financial goal. Okay. Drive, obviously a new car. I am on track to pay it off in 6 to 7 months. I'm right on track. By the way, that car's down to a $15,850 balance from $26,000. So I'm clipping along on that. Okay. I have goals. Little 840 square foot condo paid off. The only thing I'm really missing to some extent is, a whole lot of materialistic stuff. But I live within my budget. Oh, and that's the other half, okay? When the car's paid off again, I'll go back to living on 50% of my budget. In other words, my goal has been I want to have something to offer so that I'm not just dead weight to somebody. And the sparkling personality, well, the sparkling personality comes for free. But you know what I mean? So it's not like she's looking at a guy that's got so much going for him that she'd have to think twice about whether or not she should replace him. This guy is a worn out pair of shoes that can be replaced in an instant from something from Payless. She don't need to go to Nordstrom's rack to go get a shoe. She could just go to Payless at the mall. And any shoe is going to look better than the one she's wearing right now. That's what he's afraid of. He's very, very replaceable. The higher quality the person, the character, okay, the higher quality they are, obviously the harder it is to replace. And I'm not talking just about money. In fact, I would say that's probably the least of what I'm talking about, because someone that's high quality, good character, yada, yada, okay, they're going to have their finances together. And somebody like me, I may not be rich and stuff, but I am financially solid. I will do no harm to anyone that I should be in a relationship with. No harm at all. In fact, my goal is, all right, to be an asset. That's the goal. He's easily replaceable, and he knows this. And this is why time is not on his side, but it's on hers. And if he's street smart, which I'm willing to bet, here's the other thing. He's street smart, I'm willing to bet. Why do I think that? Because right now, he's got her wrapped around his finger. How do we know? Because she's calling in, dating a loser for a guy going, well, should I or should I not break up with him? Meanwhile, the rest of us are in the stands, the bleachers going, yeah, toss him. He's no good. So it's almost like he knows how to play the street game. She knows how to play the academics. Right?
We come from very, very different financial backgrounds. My parents are immigrants, and they didn't get the opportunity to go to college, and they worked so hard to be where they are today.
So your family is a family of work ethic.
And hopefully you're not going to throw away that work ethic for a loser.
Yes.
Yeah. And you are. You're a person who works.
Yes.
Tell him that.
Yes, I have 2 jobs.
Tell him that.
And please, Allison in Los Angeles, don't be one of those women. God love you, sweetheart. Please don't be the woman that goes, but I can change him. If I just move to Texas with him and I just try a little bit more and I put that immigrant family work ethic behind us a little bit more, I can change him. Oh, please don't. Because here's worst case scenario. Okay, she goes to Texas. They, quote unquote, play house. They buy a house. Damn well she's going to be the one paying for it. She gets knocked up. They're not married. Then he decides, for whatever reason, or she decides, whatever, it'd be more likely she decides, this is not the relationship with me. Meanwhile, she's got, baby with her. She winds up paying him alimony. Yeah, she winds up paying him alimony because she was the breadwinner.
I can't go with you until I see some financial responsibility and some work ethic.
Minimum. I'm going to say safely in this minimum 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. I don't think a person would have to date me for 2 years to figure it out, because I'm an open book. Like I said, all I got to do is just watch my YouTube channel. And if you're in a personal relationship with me, I will show you the records. I will show you the records.
And his codependence on you, not just financially, but the idea that if he moves first and you may not follow and that scares him, that's not strength either, right?
Yeah.
There's a emotional codependence there as well, Allison.
Emotional codependent and financial codependent.
And let me just say too, and you would say this to your sister if you were 30 and she was 21, he's not the only one.
Oh, God.
Family, did I just not say that? Did I not say that? Hold on.
He's not the only one, Allison. I promise you. You're 21. I promise you.
And unless he changes, he's not the one.
And that's the end of the episode. Family, that is what the boyfriend is worried about. The boyfriend knows that I don't know about statistics, but she just graduated from college. She's going to be applying for what I know are professional jobs. You just know she's going for professional. Okay. And the loser of a boyfriend at 20 hours a week is going, wait a minute. If she gets too much exposure to the real world out there, I'm replaceable.